Now, say my name.
The Rolling Bad Podcast.
You're goddamn right.
Coming to you almost live from the ruins of Excelsis in Rio Rancho, New Mexico, it's the Rolling Bad Podcast, episode number 109. There should be something for 109. Maybe it's like the paper glass anniversary. I don't know. It's June 13th, and I'm your host, Lord Reverend Bill. Hey, did that god just jump into a gate? Castello? And with me today, all the way from Hagnar, is...
Joshua, oops, my points went up to Alt.
Wow, so you're more expensive to keep on the show now?
Yeah,
God.
yeah. And I'd start charging you double almost.
Jeez. Well, there goes all that revenue. Because, you make fat loot doing a podcast.
Oh, yeah, totally. Especially when it's bi-weekly.
Yeah. Oh, it's fat loot. Fat. We got another packed show for you today.
Yeah.
Like we said last time, we're doing Kragnos this time. And that, along with the AOS 3.0 teasers, is going to probably... Luckily, it's a pretty light new dawn. So,
I mean, yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
We'll get into this pretty quick.
Yeah. We do have to start out first with a correction to something we said, or I said, on the last show. Thanks, Ryan, RT Gamer, for noticing. And I said that you'd be able to... double up the casting on that healing spell for Soul Blight. And that's incorrect because it's not part of one of the lores.
Yeah.
It's actually the generic spell, so that's not one of the ones that gets doubled.
Yeah.
Or cast twice. So I was wrong. Ryan was right. He's pretty. I'm ugly. He lives in Durango. I live in Albuquerque, so he's obviously cooler than me. So, no.
But we're always happy to get feedback and corrections, We're humble that way.
Yo, totally. Because I handle negative feedback well. Not.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. If Ryan says it, it's true. Another shout out. Hey, the raffle for Curse City is still going on. I'm kind of shocked because it hasn't really been the draw that I thought it was. Is there that much Curse City hate out there?
I don't know, man. I know it's only been live for a week as of this recording.
Yeah.
But folks, it's still out there. Of course, we'll be putting it out, on social media more aggressively.
Yeah. Yep.
That way, everyone's got the links, knows to go to it. If you're having trouble getting to one of the links, then just drop us a message, and we'll make sure that you get the correct link.
Yeah.
But
sure.
Again, it's for a great cause. It's for St. Jude's.
Yeah.
So at the very least, just chip in $5.
Yeah. And it's going for $200-$300 on eBay, and here's a chance to get it for $5. So, or per entry. Mm-hmm. So. And again, if you're a Patreon, you're already in the raffle, but you can still give more. It's St. Jude's, man. It's all good.
It is.
We're begging here, people. So I think you wanted to do a shout out.
Oh, yeah. So I want to give a shout out to Doug from 2 Plus Tough. He posted a meme this week that just had me absolutely floored. Go out and check his Instagram, but Bill's going to give you a little preview of what you could expect.
Stormcast are cool.
Yeah, folks, go check out Doug. Much love to you, Doug. Thanks for thinking of us and being creative in how you
did it. Yeah, that was amazing. Doug is over there at 2 Plus Tough, the YouTube channel. And again, if you're at all interested in the lore of Age of Sigmar or anything Age of Sigmar adjacent, go subscribe right now to 2 Plus Tough on YouTube. Anywhere you can get media, he's there. And the dude just puts out super quality content constantly. So
he does. When I first got into the hobby, I actually was listening to him just to try and understand what this world was that I was playing games in. And so he's fantastic. He's fantastic.
Yep. Awesome. And in the Let's Shout Out an Event department, the Basement Wargamer guys, Sean Feather, BWG BWG president, they are putting on Summer Slaughter 2021. It is going on. It is August 14th to 15th of this year. So it's a 2-day tournament. They're having an Age of Sigmar GT, and they're capping the space at the GT at 100 players. And they're also doing there's a kill team. event going on, and I think that's limited to 24 players. So if you're out there anywhere near Stowe, Pennsylvania, give those guys a look. Go to summerslaughtergt.com and you can get all the deets. He has hotels listed here. You actually sign up for the event on BWG or Best Coast Pairings. Why did I say BWG again? You sign up for it on Best Coast Pairings, so it's obviously going to use Best Coast to handle everything, so it'll go pretty smooth. They always put on a super quality show, and come on, people, it's a show. It's 100-person tournament. It's awesome.
Yeah, to think we're finally getting back to that. There's Bug Eater was recently.
Yeah, Bug Eater was last weekend.
Summer Slaughter coming up. God, there's one in July too.
Yeah.
I mean, they're just starting to pop up everywhere, right? And so we actually get to get back into doing the things we love to do. So if you're around Pennsylvania, get down there.
You betcha. And I would give one of my legs probably to be able to get out there and go to that. But it's just, same reason I can't go to these GW shows is the timing is just so bad for me. But yeah, definitely sign up for Summer Slaughter if you're in that Pennsylvania area. Mm-hmm. You will have a good time, and you will see people that you haven't seen in like 2 years, and you'll be able to go up and bump elbows and do bro knot hugs and stuff, and
Exactly. Time to get back out there, folks. Let's start playing this thing again.
I think that was it for the intro, right?
I think that's it. I think we can move to New Dawn.
New Dawn. Wow. Shall we deal with the elephant in the room?
Yeah, Bill, let's talk about your experience yesterday trying to pre-order Gaunt's.
Okay, so Games Workshop, in their infinite wisdom, implemented yesterday for pre-orders a queue system, and they're using a system called Queue It, where it looks like they're taking down the website about 10 minutes prior to whatever the local ordering time is for you guys. For us out here in the mountain time, it's 11 a.m. That we can do pre-orders. And it looked like about 10 minutes prior to that, they dropped the website and instituted Queue It. Now, the beauty of Queue It is wherever you jump in at is where you are in line to get into the web store. So refreshing your browser, keep hitting the button, smashing the button repeatedly does nothing. It sits there. It uses a cookie to figure out what your number is. And don't try to delete your cookies. Just see if you can sneak in, because you delete your cookie, you're going further back in line. Yep. So helpful hint there. Mm-hmm. Just the tip. But it was a complete surprise. I happened to be traveling when it came up, and it was like, whoa, I'm on Wi-Fi here and I'm moving. So we actually had to kind of stop moving, and I didn't want to lose my signal where I had it. And there was another individual with me who was going to do the same thing. And it was a real eye-opener. It was strange. Once you get in through the Queue It system, you have 10 minutes to get in there, make a purchase, and get out. And once you get out, once you complete your order, you're out and you go back into the queue. Mm-hmm. So if you forgot to buy something, there's no more just go back, add it to your cart, and do another transaction. Not happening. And I mean, obviously this is there so that when they do say something like, hey, AOS Dominion boxes are 1 per customer, they can actually mean it. Yep. And it was a good weekend to test that system on, because even though there was the limited edition Gaunt's Ghost stuff, it wasn't, I don't think this was a weekend that there was going to be like 50 million people trying to jump on the website at one time. So I'm sure they got some good numbers. They got some good information as to how this might work next weekend when Dominion goes on sale. And so I'm hoping that this is what's going to be used to eliminate the Indomitus situation. Yeah. And I did the rabbit ears around situation. It's a good thing.
I want to think it's a good thing, because we all know how unfortunate it is to not get your pre-order, right? Like, it don't feel good, man, right? It's bad feels all around. And so I'm hoping that this does what they think it's going to do.
Yep.
And that they got good enough test data this week to prepare for the landslide that's going to be coming next weekend. Yeah. So knock on wood, hope for the best. We'll see how it plays out.
It's from the corporate GW standpoint, it's a really good answer to How do we control our web store and not have it get knocked down by the sheer volume?
Mm-hmm.
And in their defense, GW is a relatively small company. We think of it as the mothership sometimes, but you're not talking about tens of thousands of employees. You're talking about a few thousand employees, a majority of which are retail people.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you have factory and warehouse workers and all this stuff. The actual number of people that are working on the web store probably are in the handful of folks.
Mm-hmm.
So, to sit there and say, well, they should just update their servers. They should upgrade all of their internet stuff. Yeah, well, you don't justify that for a once every month, maybe big release, or once every 2 months. So this is a good way to approach it. The problem is I think there's going to be some bad feels. I'm hoping not. I'm hoping people will understand that, hey, 11 o'clock rolls around or ordering time rolls around. You jump into the queue. It's just like getting in line at a store.
Yep.
Yeah, sometimes you don't get the free mini, but at least you have a much more fair shot than that jerk face that's simply doing it for eBay orders. And he goes in there and he orders on separate email accounts. He orders 15 different, boxes of X. And then when it comes your turn to get in, it's already gone.
Yeah.
So hopefully it works. It was a big surprise to me. I almost cried because that Gaunt's Ghost pre-order was like, for me, it was, well, I mean, I'm unique or something. It was huge for a lot of people. That limited edition stuff was so cool. And just Gaunt's Ghost. I mean, those models are so kick butt. So yeah, pre-orders from yesterday was Gaunt's Ghost.
Mm-hmm.
There was the two limited edition book sets, one for the Sabbat Crusade and one for a different, I forgot, I'm not going to say it because I don't remember it, but they're very cool looking, and they come with the patches and pins and all the geek cred stuff that you need to put on your North Face jacket.
Mm-hmm.
And of course the box of Gaunt's Ghosts, which like from the preview were just amazing.
Oh yeah.
And also up for pre-order was the Lizard Man team set for Blood Bowl. So a pitch, cards, dice, some Cadian troopers for Imperial Guard.
It was the upgrade sprues, right?
It was the upgrade sprues and an Acadia box.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know Astra Militarum, Imperial Guard, well enough to tell you if that was a new box or something, but I thought it was all new sculpts. So yeah. So, I mean, a lot of neat stuff went up for pre-order yesterday, but again, it wasn't enough that I think even if they hadn't done queue it, I don't think the store was going to break.
Yeah.
But it was a damn good test for the system.
Mm-hmm.
So,
mm-hmm.
And let's pray that it works next week. Oh God. Released this week, just a couple of items, nothing really big.
No, nothing at all.
Yeah. So we can just move on.
Yeah. So we got Elethane's Soul Raid dropped for all those
Yes.
people who are now going to be engaging in the new crab meta. Hashtag crab meta.
You are no longer crab challenged.
Yeah, exactly. I picked up mine. I already did model it with a knife, like I said I would. They are primed and just drying off in the garage right now. Wasn't this week, but last week.
Yeah.
Of course, the big uns dropped. We got Croak. We've got Kragnos.
Yes.
We got the Warsong Revenant.
Oh my gosh.
All those special boxes came out, for the battalions.
Yep.
And of course, we'll talk a lot more about that later.
Yeah.
Gorgeous models across the entire range that they brought out for Kragnos, right?
Yes.
Big ending needs big models.
Needs a big splash. Yeah.
Yeah. But this week, it was all Sisters of Battle all day.
Oh my golly.
Yeah, they're beautiful models from Go. Morven Vol looks so cool.
Yes.
Codex launched. I was at the local store when it happened, and I wasn't going to buy any Sisters at this time because that's so far in my backlog that I'm not even going to touch it. When I finally get back to my Sisters, I'm sure it's just going to be available. And it won't be the rush. But I think it was within 15 minutes, Anders sold out of his entire stock.
Yeah.
There wasn't even a line, right? It's just that people just happened to show up and the shelves just cleaned out. Sisters looking really cool. Really interesting updates.
Yes. They got some really cool double-edged sword sort of updates with the faith dice and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So some major changes. I think really well done balancing changes for them. And anytime you get really new units that are really that cool.
Mm-hmm.
And I think those power suits sort of were polarizing.
Yeah, they were. Yeah.
Yeah. You either loved them or you hated them.
Mm-hmm.
So I personally was completely indifferent. I thought they were very, very cool looking. And I don't think it really crosses into the Space Marine meta all that much. I think it's a really great, and I'll say it again, it's a representation. It's a way to actually have females in power armor.
Yep.
And not have to go, here's my female Space Marines.
Yep.
Because I think we're still not ready for that yet, but I am waiting for the day when those 2 missing chapters come back and they're all girls.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. That's going to be absolutely wonderful.
Oh, I cannot wait for the just truckloads of people that leave the hobby because they made girls.
Oh, I know. I know. As for the sisters, though, Repentia are still awesome. So,
Oh my gosh.
if you're running Repentia, you're still in a good place.
Yes, you are.
If you're not running Repentia, I don't know why you're playing sisters.
Yeah, is there a reason for you?
Yeah,
Okay.
no.
I'm going to do something different, by the way, just to be a, hipster.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay, cool.
It's like I won't run Petrifex in OCARC.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I say it, but I will. But I don't want to just because, I want to be that hipster and do something different. So, yeah, sisters are so, and it's the culmination of a dream. And it's like the entire community looking at GW is saying, I told you so.
Yep.
We told you if you did it, they would sell.
Yes.
And it gives hope to all the other, dream armies that are out there. I heard somebody talking about, let's see some of the other races that the Tau have sort of allied with.
Mm-hmm.
And, these don't have to be full lines. They're just going to be Tau allies.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we've seen the Kroot, we've seen the Vespid. Let's see some other stuff. And, you can do limited releases. And now they kind of hopefully have a little more willingness to do so, since sisters seem to, I think they did okay in sales. I think maybe.
They did all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did all right.
They're not a loss leader, put it that way. So other than that, pre-orders for next week are kind of boring. There's really not much.
No, they're just going to be completely changing AOS, so we don't need to talk too much about it.
Yeah. It's, I mean, okay, great. New book, new rules. It happens all the time.
Total new
Whatever.
model line. Yeah, we're all getting hyped. We are. I was talking to my wife about it yesterday, and I was going off to the store, and she says, don't spend all the money. And I said, don't worry, honey. I'm spending all the money next week. And she's like, the hell you are. And I was like, the hell I am.
Yeah.
Dominion's coming out.
Yes.
That's happening. I don't care.
This is a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's every new edition. I mean, I always greet a new edition with trepidation because everything changes, and there's this period of time where half the community is super salty, half the community is like, yeehaw, finally they did what I wanted. From the teasers that they've been putting out, the core battalions look bonkers.
Oh, yeah.
Cool. Just everything they're putting out, these all seem like logical, cool changes.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we said this before, is the game was not broken.
Mm-hmm.
It needed a facelift. Obviously, these things need to grow, but I think all the things they're doing, changing the board size, thank you God. Obviously, same thing that happened in 40K is going to happen here. Points are going to go up across the board, just to make up for the smaller board size. There's a whole interplay there between point sizes and table sizes and all that stuff. And lots of game companies have forgotten that, and then they realize it too late.
Mm-hmm.
GW is on top of that, thankfully. All these new things look so cool. I haven't seen a rule come out yet that I'm like, well, that's really dumb.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I think that it's moving to a much more active game. You're doing more things a lot of the time. There's a lot of reactivity, right?
Yeah.
Proactivity too.
Yes.
So there's going to be a lot of really fun strategy that's going to come out of this that wasn't just like sort of your cookie cutter stuff, like talking about the coherency issues and things like that, right? Where it's just, I've got the flying V of skinks and I zone out the board.
Yeah.
Now you cannot do that.
No, you really, it's a great thing. I always go back to the one game that I watched between Randy and Elric, and where he had his big V of skinks. I mean, it was literally stretching edge to edge. And I was just like, is that what they intended? I mean, it's a completely viable tactic. I'm not throwing any shade at Randy because, I mean, I do that all the time anyway. But it just seems to me like that was never the intent of a unit of skinks. Was, I'm zoning out, to make sure nobody sneaks up behind it. Yeah, no, that's not how it works. And now we're going to get into a system where that kind of stuff doesn't happen. If you have deep strike, you're going to be able to play with that toy.
Yeah.
And your opponent is going to have to be mindful of it. And it's worked in 40K. People have rethought how they do things, and
exactly.
Deep striking armies are not just winning everything in 40K because, it's the magic tactic and it's, the instant win button. No, it's not. You still have AOS armies that are going to outflank. You still have deep striking AOS stuff. You have stuff coming from the grave. You have Stormcast dropping from the heavens. Yeah, we're going to have to think about these sorts of things, and you're going to have to plan a lot harder and better for it. I don't want to say harder. Plan better. I think the game's going to play better. And short of going to a we go and getting away from the I go, you go, this is a really good answer.
Yeah, and it feels more like a battle in that sense, with how command abilities are working, is that someone's performing an action, so then you're not just going to sit there and take it. You're going to respond, right? And so the responsive command abilities that they've been showing are absolutely fantastic.
The Overwatch, to me, I mean, I mentioned it. We had this set up for the AOS section coming up, but I guess we'll do it now.
Might as well.
The Unleash Hell reactive ability, where you're basically going to shoot Overwatch. You're shooting at a -1, but you're going to be able to shoot at a unit that's charging you. I mean, it's Overwatch. Hello. Yeah. We have needed that for so freaking long. Eat me, Iron Jaws. Okay. Eat me, ogres. Eat me, anybody that just relies on charge. Because, I mean, this is, yes, finally I have some reactive ability. All out defense.
Plus one to save for an entire unit.
Yeah.
Or like your monstrous hero. Are you kidding me? Like, imagine, I imagine going back to all the Flesh Eater Court games I've played, and if I was able to give +1 save to my Ghoul King on Terrorgeist, and how that would have changed the entire flow of the game.
Everything. Yep.
Oh my God.
And the ability to move prior to the charge, move 6 inches prior to the charge.
Oh yeah.
Hello. Thank you.
Yep.
It's about time I'm able to actually save a unit. I mean, it costs me. I can't just do it for free, but it's about time that I can just sit there and go, oh, I really made a mistake with them. And, it's going to completely mitigate the double turn being so devastating. But you're going to have to plan. If I get double turned, I need to have a couple command points in my pocket. And so I think it just opens up all kinds of strategic level thinking as well as tactical.
I agree. We were talking at the shop yesterday where I was saying that, like, I feel like Skaven could be a thing.
Yes.
And, it makes me think of all the, warp fire throwers, as well as like Thankful and Bone Ripper.
Oh.
Like Thankful and Bone Ripper are pretty much unchargeable with Unleash Hell.
Yeah.
Like the amount of auto hitting that they are going to do is absurd.
Yes.
Mortal wounds just throwing out everywhere if you've got the 4 flamers, right?
Dear God.
Go ahead. No. Charge Thankful and Bone Ripper with your 20 guys. All right, so I'm throwing 80 dice.
Yeah.
And every 4 up is a mortal wound. Well, guess what? That's 40 mortal wounds. I mean, it's just absurd. And then we'll get into this a little bit more when we talk about the Skaven tactics, right? But they set it up again so you can have your weapons teams hidden inside of your units with Skaven Tide.
Okay. That's lunatic. Oh, wait. Yeah, it's lunatics.
Yeah.
That is so cool. It's so dumb, but it's so cool.
It is.
It's very Skaven-y.
Yeah. if you're playing in like an aggressive like melee armies, like depending if there are a lot more melee armies, coming to the fold, in 3.0, like those flamers are just going to be everything.
Yeah. Oh gosh. Yeah. Skaven are going to get interesting. I think a lot of armies are going to get real interesting. Gone, I think, are the days when if you just charge a shooting unit, it goes away, and that problem you had is solved. I think this is gonna it's gonna help the Mortek crawler out a little bit.
Oh yeah,
So,
yeah, it will. I didn't even think about that thing. I hate that thing.
Yeah, I mean it's right now I guess the big meta for OBR is the double Mortek crawler lists, and my whole thing has always been but the minute they're engaged, well, and now the minute they're charged, it's like, oh yeah, you want to eat some hot death? Okay, yeah. So I all the way across the board, these things they're doing for AOS 3.0 are bonkers good.
Yeah, the one question I'm really going to have is with KO, if you charge the boat, do the people on board get to shoot? I think that's going to be clarified. I don't think so, because they're not part of that unit. So you may have to double command point it, because it would be technically within 3 inches.
Yeah, they would, but
I don't know. It's going to be a weird interaction. We'll have to get some clarification on that, I think, later. But
yeah, I think they're going to have to. These are the problems. Anytime that you have a transport in a game, it always brings up so many complications. I really wish they'd never been born. Speaking of Grungni, no, we'll save that. Oh, so yeah, I mean, that's going to be a really weird one. Are they going to let them disembark? I wonder if they're going to have a command point ability to where they can jump out and protect the boat or something. I don't know.
Or if they can shoot while in the boat, like the Unleash Hell rule, but for them specifically.
It'd be weird though, because they can't shoot out of it now. Yeah. So I don't know. That would almost be too powerful, because then why would you ever get out? You would just fly across the board shooting things.
I thought they could shoot. They don't cap objectives. They don't count as models, but they shoot out of the boat.
That's right. Wait a minute. You're right. Oh God, I hate KO. God, I hate transport roles of any kind in any game, because it leads to so many convolutions that just don't work. Arg. Okay. Anyway, AOS 3.0, super hyped.
Oh, yeah.
And the timing of AOS 3.0, and this is note to GW, by the way, if you could delay the release a week, we would appreciate it. Okay, that's not going to happen. So, yeah, because it goes up for pre-order next Saturday when this show drops. And then it picks up again in 2 weeks. So the next week after next week, 2 weeks from now, we'll record again. AOS will have been ordered, but not here yet. And then we won't get to the next show until a week after it's in the field. No, we'll have the benefit of hindsight. We'll know what not to cover because everybody else is beating it up.
Mm-hmm.
But it also puts us like a week off, which is sad. Maybe we'll do a special show.
We might have to.
Yeah, we
might have to.
Yeah, just sneak in oh my God, this is so cool. Did you see page 12? Oh my God, that okay. Yeah, we'll just foam all over it because, that's what nerds do.
Did you smell the sprues, Bill? Did you smell them? It smells like the swamp, Bill.
They put a scratch and sniff in there. Oh, wow. This is just so wrong. Okay, so have we covered Dominion and AOS?
I think as far as we're going to right now, we'll probably touch on some things later.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to be interspersing it. It's the elephant in the room that isn't me. So I guess we should probably kind of move on towards creation.
I think it's time.
All right. Very nice. So, mind if I start?
Go ahead.
All right. I created a lot, and I mean a lot, of non-GW stuff.
Sure did, Bill. You sure did.
I have a friend in Utah who he's handicapped. He's paralyzed from the hips down. And so it's very, very difficult for him he lives on the second floor of an assisted living building.
Okay.
But it's super difficult for him to get out, prime stuff, because he can't prime on his balcony because the way the wind always blows inside of his building setup is like a big U.
Oh, okay.
And so it creates this vortex. So if he sprays, it just goes to the neighbor's house and sits. So they get ticked off. So he is super into BattleTech.
Okay.
Which is good because I just got MechWarriors 5 on the computer, so I was thinking about it too. Anyway, we were talking. He said, I have several boxes that I need to get, primed and ready. And I was like, well, here's the deal. Throw them in a box, send them to me. I will prime them. I'll do the zenithal highlighting. And, if you want a simple base coat on there, I'll do that too. And then I'll just ship them back to you. Mm-hmm. And, we can get this done in a week. So the package arrives Wednesday and I open it up and I'm like, oh my God, it's 10 of the starter boxes for Battletech, which is 80 mechs. And then there's another 10 of the introductory boxes, which is another 20 mechs. And then a couple of the clan boxes, which is another 8 mechs each. So I was like, oh my God, this is like 140 mechs that I have to prime and base and zenith and base coat. And so, yeah, last weekend was, I blew an airbrush up. I was like, oh my God. I took them all outside and sprayed them. I sprayed them with gray cere and then brought them inside and did some actual lighter zenithal white highlights on there. Mm-hmm. And then if he wanted a base coat, I shot the base coat on there. Some of them he had a list of what he wanted. He wanted some of them to be red, some of them to be blue. A lot of them got contrast. A lot of them got just regular scale 75 colors on them. And then he let me keep about, 20 or so of them as my payment. So yeah, I turned out 120 mechs for him and, literally had to shoot them all over the weekend, let them dry Sunday night, roll them into some bubble wrap and got them in the mail on Monday morning. So,
oh, wow, man.
Yeah. Well, he's got a thing coming up. So he wants to be able to put a show on it's for a whole bunch of kids at the, where he lives. It's an assisted living facility for all kinds of folks. And there's I think he said over 30 kids in the gaming group there.
Oh,
and they do a little bit of everything. They do AOS, they do 40K, really watered down because some of the kids are kind of young. Mm-hmm. The teenagers, like you said, the teenagers play 40K just for fun. But he runs a lot of different things and he exposes them to a bunch of different games to see, some of them hit with some kids and some are dead misses. And so he tries to do a whole bunch of different games. So Battletech is next on his list. So that was my hobby. And then I painted some for myself last night.
Yeah, I mean, they look really good from here, Bill. Saw the picture on the Discord, which, by the way, the Discord is up and going.
Yes, it is.
Started popping off a couple days ago. Very engaged on the Discord. Super fun. Also being able to talk to other listeners, other people in the community. It's a fun time, folks. So the link is available. If you only have Instagram, just shoot us a DM, and then we'll get you the link. And then it's posted up on Facebook under one of our posts. And you can always just message us for it too.
Sure. Yeah,
you put those up, and I was like, man, they look really good.
Yeah, I like my battle mix.
yeah. The paint scheme looks solid. I really like the camo look on them.
Yeah.
But I was really impressed with the glass, like the shielding.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's solid. I really like how that looks, man.
Thanks, appreciate it. Yeah, I think I threw it up on Instagram. So,
yeah, I went live on Instagram last night. I think it was probably one of our most liked posts so far. We're still slow growing on Instagram, and you can always find us there at the Rolling Bad Podcast. So please look for us there, and give us a follow, like some stuff.
Yeah,
engage with us. For my creation, it was a bit of a slow week for me.
Yeah, right.
So, it wasn't like the week before where I built most of a Soulblight army. I started to put together Croak. I just got distracted with some other things in the middle of it, so I had to make sure he was packed up and put away. Same thing with the Warsong Revenant. Started to get that together. Kragnos, I looked at him. That's about as far as I got with him. Then I also put together Elethane's Soul Raid. I remember, folks, reject modernity, embrace crab. I finished painting G-MILF. That's the grandmother I like to feel. That's Belladama Volca. Finished painting her. And then I did a test paint on the zombies. I was trying to go for a very quick paint job. Mm-hmm. It still looks okay, right? I'm just not going to try and paint up to a super high quality every single zombie I've got. So it boiled down to like a little bit of contrast on the body, but then I would highlight up. I actually found this like nice little combination of contrast for the clothing to make it look like worn old, somewhat leathery.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
So that was really fun. I had a lot of fun with that. And that's what I did.
Nice. So yeah, I mean, we're kicking out hobby. Mine's not appropriate, but I'm enjoying the heck out of doing it. And I don't know why on a lark, I just decided to paint some battle mechs last night, but it was actually fun. It was nice to just get in there and I don't want to say not care, but it wasn't like, oh, this is going to be for an army I'm going to field, next week. So yeah, it felt pretty good.
Like a good little palate cleanser.
Yeah. Cause I really want to do the two, what's his name? Direchasm war bands. I want to do the Soul Reapers and the Crimson Court. I want to get those knocked out hopefully this week. Yeah. Okay, sure. Start moving on with just so many of the different little army projects I got in my head that I want to do. And honestly, Croak is rekindling my Seraphon.
Oh, yeah?
It's hard to not look at Croak and go, that's the current broken.
Yeah.
We'll get to that here in a little bit. But Seraphon was one of my first true loves in this hobby in AOS after my foray into Stormcast at the very beginning. It was funny because I went Stormcast at the very beginning because that's what I had in the box and I had nothing from before. And then I went Seraphon and I went a little all in on Seraphon. But then immediately Death caught my eye and I just switched over to a Death army right away. And the Seraphon have languished ever since.
Oh, okay.
And it kind of makes me sad because that's the kind of stuff I really enjoy painting is Seraphon. And I don't know why I haven't embraced it fully because they've either been, like I used to say, literally unplayable, or then now they're sort of OP. And I just feel like I'm a bandwagon guy if I build Croak and a whole Seraphon army. But I'll probably do something like that anyway. Who cares? So let's take a quick break, and then we will go into a quick battle section and then dive head first into Kragnos, which is a bad plan if you've read what he does.
Yes.
All right, so let's roll on into battle. I haven't gotten a game of AOS in, have you?
Not personally. I played some Curse City, though.
Ah, very nice. How'd that game go?
Oh, it was pretty fun. We've actually played 2 sessions so far. I was with Troy, Eric, and my wife.
Yep.
We're playing over at Troy's place, and it's pretty fun. So I'm playing Imelda Braskov. Wife's playing Yeltsin Darek. Our 4th didn't show up, so Troy subbed in with Gladio.
Oh, yeah.
And then Eric was playing Octrin. And the first session was a bloodbath. I know like the percentages of being able to hit on the respective dice, it's 33, 50, 67, right? But for some reason we were all rolling hot.
Oh, nice.
Just hot. There was one point near the very end where Korsagi Night Guard showed up. And so I charged into battle with it and, using Dawnlight because I'd already inspired at that point, Dawnlight and then just normal attacks. I killed the rat swarm next to it and then did 9 wounds to the Korsagi. So he was on 1 wound left.
Oh, geez.
And then the next activation was my wife's with Yeltsin, and she just shotguns him off the board. So like this big baddie comes up, and Troy's freaking out, like, "Oh God, this thing's gonna happen." It was just like,
he
just turned into dust. Just turned into dust. So we got out of there, no problem. The second one was the scavenge one. That was pretty fun.
Yes.
Some turns here and there on that one. At the very end, a Virkos Thriceborn showed up. Charged my wife's character and whiffed on all of its attacks.
Oh my God.
And then we got the last thing for the scavenging one.
Nice.
Right? Where my wife could just probably obliterate it.
Yeah. Oh my God.
It was a really fun game. Octrin can be really good. The second game, honestly, Imelda didn't do hardly anything. there just weren't enough enemies for her to kill in one go.
Yeah.
In order to inspire. So I actually picked up, I think, like half of the scavenging stuff.
Okay.
It just so happened that almost everything was away from her, so she was running over and grabbing stuff. I think I killed like 3 zombies total, maybe a rat swarm. It was just hardly anything. But like Gladio and Octrin just at one point just like crit the freaking room away. And then they were able to go get the rest of the scavenge stuff. It was
Nice.
it was a wild time. It was a wild time.
Yeah.
It's really fun. It's a really fun game.
It is silly fun. And our last game that we had Monday, we had to take a week off because the host of our game went out to Texas to perhaps buy more Forge World than someone should realistically take home.
You know that feeling, Bill?
Yes, a little. But we had the game, and this is going to. I'll tell the whole story. So, we're all level 1 now, and so we're getting slightly larger mobs on the average bad guy card. What I was finding with my character, Qualithis, is she is super deadly with the bow. I mean, that is her shtick. Her sword does 1 damage on a crit. Yeah, and her defense is always the square die. It's always the 50-50. Or no, actually, that one's what?
33.
That one's 33%. So she's got paper mache for armor. She is not supposed to be in melee. And we had been playing this game the whole time, that if you were adjacent, you couldn't use a ranged weapon. So I came home from Monday's game a little salty because she was almost always mobbed. And I had very little, I had almost no chance to inspire. If it hadn't been for the events coming up where you could, twice it came up that you could get an inspiration point, I wouldn't have gotten inspired at all.
Yeah.
So I was just like, wow, she's useless the minute you get to level 1 or the minute you get to bigger mobs. She's absolutely useless. And I wrote that into the Reddit group. And I was like, guys, you got to help me out. Why is this character so useless from level 1 and beyond? At which point someone was like, what are you talking about? She's still a murder machine. She's amazing, and basically said, you're playing her wrong, stupid. Learn to play better. And so got into a conversation with one guy, and he was like, and I was like, well, the minute she's adjacent, she can't shoot. And so she's dealing with this 1 damage sword when just about everything has 2-3 hit points. So she's using her entire action to kill 1 critter, and then she's still adjacent to like 3 more. At which point he's like, no, that's not the rule. The rule is you can't target an adjacent creature. You can shoot anything in the tile or in anything you can see, you can shoot as long as it's not adjacent. And I had that, wow, light dawns on Marblehead. I went to the rule book, looked it up. Sure enough, you can't target an adjacent character model, but it doesn't say you can't shoot. It says you can't target anything adjacent to you. So you basically have to let your friends kill the stuff that's near you while you machine gun the room. So I'm going into tomorrow's game with a much renewed love for my character. I don't think she's just junk anymore. So yeah, that last game, we actually won. We did well. We faced the way the game scales up is so much fun.
Yeah.
Because you never feel like, oh, well, this is easy. We've seen these before. They're super easy. Yeah, no. And we also got a stupid event. Oh, this is going to hurt so bad. When we start this next game, we start with the turn counter on the nightfall space.
Oh, God.
So, yeah, we're starting at nightfall. Because I guess the airship got shot down or something, or we took damage and we crashed in a bad part of the city.
Oh.
So Chicago, I guess. And yeah, we're just gonna, oh my gosh, it's gonna be bad.
It's nighttime in Chi-Town, huh?
Yeah, it is. I'm like, is there like an easy mission that has 2 tiles and we get to leave? Because yeah, and just so you know, the mechanic in the game is, I think it's 12 turns.
Yes.
You play for 12 turns and it's daytime. so the bad guys aren't super powerful. The minute the minute you go to the 12th turn, it's 10th or 12th. I can't remember exactly. But the minute you hit that space, all of the monsters use the inspired side of their cards, and they are much, much beefier on that side. So
yes, they are.
if we survive this next encounter, it'll be pretty amazing. I think we're just going to do an idiot rush to get out of whatever we're into. But of course, the games are, you have to get 10 civilians or you have to get this much. We're so dead.
We actually messed up when we did our very first session. I think on the first 3 mobs, we were using the inspired side.
Oh no.
Because Troy was had flipped them over for some reason. And I was like, dang, these guys are kind of spicy, but still Amalda was cutting them down. So I was just like, all right, let's do this. And then he goes like, oops. And I was like, what do you mean? Oops. Well, yeah, we're fighting the inspired side there. And it's like, well, no wonder.
God. Whoopsie. Well, you had a good taste of level 1.
Yeah.
Yeah,
no, it was those zombies, they do something.
Yes, they do. So in other news, I just want to quickly throw a shout out to the world. The LVO tickets went up on sale, I believe, on the 5th of June. And I have to say that my AOS narrative event was the first thing that sold out.
Awesome.
Yeah, I was really jazzed. I have to believe that it was probably a lot of the people from last year just moved their tickets forward, but still it felt pretty good to just go to the website. I was there about an hour after the tickets went on sale, and I looked at my event and boom, it was already sold out. And I was like, wow, okay, cool. And then I come to find out that, it sold out in 10 minutes.
Oh my goodness, man. That's so cool.
Yeah. I was really jazzed about that. So thank you to everyone that bought a ticket. Behind the scenes notes, I haven't changed a lot of the mechanics from 2 years ago, the first Oasis of Flame, mostly because I don't want to mess with anything until I really digest AOS 3.0.
Yeah.
So the pack will be revised here shortly, but just so everybody knows that one of the two big feedbacks we got were having no real honest to God scenarios. We were just kind of doing the modified meeting engagement sort of stuff. That's gone. We're going to be using actual real scenarios. And the other thing was the priests had nothing. None of the caravans really served the priesthoods well. That's changed. One of the caravans, the Sigmarite caravan, is now pretty much solely dedicated to priests. So
okay.
You'll have your moment in the sun, and you get new upgrades and stuff for your hero character. Really neat upgrades too, I think. So, and the other day I was talking to Andrew, and he was like, "Yeah, I'll help you run it again if you want me." And I was like, "Oh hell yeah!" So Andrew's come on as the assistant TO again. So thank you, Andrew. Appreciate that. So yeah, it's going to be fun. It's going to be good. LVO 2022 at the Rio. So we got a new hotel. The layout is amazing.
Oh yeah.
Bali's was nice. I mean, I'm not going to throw shade at Bali's. It was good in a pinch. The problem is you had all these different small halls, and the one big room was the 40K room, and everything else was kind of shoehorned into every other thing.
Oh, okay.
Now the main hall that we have at Rio is the size of everything we had at Bali's. So it's going to be, and then he's got pretty much the whole place squared away. So the vendor area is going to be super cool. The hobby area is going to be amazing. Everything's just going to be better across the board. And of course, the rooms at the Rio, all of them are suites. So you get a little bit, there's no, even the cheap rooms that we're getting are suites. So you have room to go, oh God, I'm tired, and just flop down anywhere. Or, as typical gamers will do, if you need 8 people in a room, you'll be able to do it.
Awesome.
So yeah. So it's definitely an upgrade. And another shout out I want to make is to the hobby stuff out at LVO this year. And I mean, I know some people have looked at the price and went, what the hell? Because when you see a single class that is $1,000. Well, let me just sort of let you know the class that you're getting, like Caleb Wisenbach's class, the CK Studios. Yeah, you're paying $1,000 for the 3-day class, 2 or 3 day class. I'm not sure. I think it was, I'm not going to say it. Go out there to see it. It is $1,000. You're walking out of there with an airbrush. You're walking out of there with these custom minis. You're walking out of there with a ton of stuff, as well as basically one of the Caleb Wisenbach classes that, I mean, he normally charges around that if he comes to your area. You know, you're going to pay to be out there. And so you are getting a hell of a deal. And there's other painters out there. I think Matt DiPietro is doing classes out there. Same thing. It's $1,000, but you're getting that at least 2 days of, and they're making these things small. It's not like, 30 people at $1,000. These are smaller classes. So when you're working with the stuff, Caleb's going to be right there, or Matt's going to be right there saying, hey, no, do this, try this, do that, you know, so it's a much better environment. And I almost wish I wasn't running the thing, because I would pay money, go figure, to, you know, go to one of the Caleb classes or to get a class with Matt DiPietro. Those guys are, they're okay. They're decent painters. I mean, I would say above average.
Sounds like it's gonna be a great time.
Yeah, if you're paying the high dollar class for the high dollar classes, you are gonna get your money's worth. So, and you know, but on the flip side, you're gonna have all the GW classes. I think, you know, either Nick or Peachy or maybe even Luis are gonna be out there teaching classes and doing all that stuff. So yeah, it's a good time will be had by all, no matter what your skill level is. So LVO, man, it's going to be huge. The 40K champs out there, I think, are going to be off the hook.
Oh yeah.
Well, nobody's really had a chance to put on a big major.
That's true.
He's now got room for literally thousands of tables. So, okay, when I said that, I mean thousands of players. There's a difference, Bill.
Yeah.
You know, he was even talking about they could potentially up the 40K to well over what they had last year. And I think they were looking at 1,200 last year.
Is that what it was?
Yeah. So, I mean, not everybody showed up, but they sold quite a few tickets. And I mean, that puts it in the category of super major. So winning that for 40K folks would be almost, I'm not going to say sewing up the championship, but it's going to be pretty close. So
I can dig it, man. I can dig it. What are those dates for LVO?
it is January 27, 28, 29. I think I might have that wrong because I have to look at my calendar and I am somehow iPod challenged right now.
Oh, don't blame the iPod, Bill.
Huh?
So don't blame the iPod.
I have to. I can't blame me. So yeah, the LVO dates are January 27th through the 30th. So Thursday through Sunday. There's a hotel block where you get the convention rate, and I just from my look at the rooms, they're really nice. So yeah, make your plans. Be at LVO just to be around geeks. I mean, there's going to be Star Wars Legion. There's 30K, 40K. AOS narratives for everything. There's the big night joust. They're going to have Bolt Action, Flames of War, Team Yankee, Armada, X-Wing, Legion, you name it. If there's a game that involves plastic toys, it's probably going to be there, as well as some card games. So go to LVO.
Make your plans now.
Yes. So I think that's Battle.
I think that does it.
For lore, a book Kragnos came out. It's got a big like centaur looking dude on the front, and yeah, inside there's some story and some rules changes. I don't think we really need to hit it that hard, do we?
Let's give it a shot.
All right. This is where it gets long, people.
Phrasing.
Okay, you got me.
The beast has awoken. Ugh, phrasing. Yeah, so we actually get to see Alariel do something and not just be, you know, the other person on the other side of FaceTime with Techless.
Yeah.
Right? So we come in, of course, we've got our Germanis persona, who they're going to talk about everything, but it gets right into, well, what's Alariel been up to? Right? Because remember, Teclis was like, hey, girl, you're toying with stuff you
Yeah.
shouldn't be toying with.
Yeah, a little precursor there.
Yeah, so what does that mean? Well, it means that Alariel's like, I'm taking my damn realm back,
Yeah.
right? And so she is going ham. And we find out why when very quickly into the battle, we start realizing that the Sylvaneth that are dying, as they fight the Beastmen,
Yes.
right? It's not like they're, reabsorbing and coming back, like they normally do. It's just that, like, they get sucked into the ground, what's happening?
And they're gone for good,
Yeah.
which is bad for her.
But ends up being good
Oh, boy.
in the end for her, because as this battle's raging and she, they're going up against the Beastmen, trying to stop this Dirge Horn. Then after enough Sylvaneth fall, well, we get to see an old friend, so to speak, right?
Yeah, just a little.
And so we get the new Oak of Ages, right?
Yeah.
Sprouts up and just erupts. These golden, acorns or something like that start falling from it. And wherever they hit, it's just life. Just
Pops.
Explodes.
Yes.
Right? Purifies any of Nurgle's rod or anything that's there. And so she's actually taking Ghyran back.
Yeah, and it's kind of, if you really want to set the Wayback Machine to the original 5 books of lore, when Gardas, Stupid Hammer, Idiot Hammer, no, Silver Hand, whatever his name was, when he leads Nurgle to the inner part of her realm and really blows everything up, there's this whole thing where Alariel just basically goes back into a pod.
Yep.
And she's nothing. By the end of that series, she's come back and she's in her kind of war form.
Yes.
She's on the beetle. She is extremely pissed off and she is super war form. And now you're kind of seeing this culmination. She's going back to the Alariel in the spring form, where she's literally trying to protect the realm and sort of rejuvenate it. And she's back into that nurturing Alariel thing, where she's still a beast and she's still got, she hasn't forgotten how to use a sword, but she's more in line with the Alariel we all know, trying to bring life back. Yes. And she does it. Well, that's foreshadowing. So, she's doing it in a big way. And this Rite of Life is her, I don't want to say swan song, but it's her necroquake. It's her, we have to counteract all of these death and chaos things that are happening. And I've got a plan. Mm-hmm. And what I love is she doesn't ask Sigmar. She doesn't ask Teclis. Well, I mean, she's talking about it with Teclis because he feels what's going on. Yeah. And so they discuss it, and she's like, hang on, fam. I got this. Mm-hmm. This is my jam. Yeah. So, and, I love the way Alariel is written in this book. Mm-hmm. She's not conniving. She is cunning. She knows what she's doing, but she's also very direct about it.
Oh, yeah.
Here's what I'm here to do. If you don't agree, die. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, I see where you're coming from.
And she gets it done. She pulls in Drycha. Haven't seen her in forever.
Oh, I know.
Drycha comes in just slicing and dicing.
As she sometimes does.
I mean, she is wont to do that, honestly. But yeah, so she figures again, when they're cutting down all the beastmen, it's a fight for a while.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
But once, she supercharges the Oak of Ages and just pulls that lever and just shoots through, everything changes for him.
Yeah, under her feet, the oak began to move, nourished by the souls of the departed. Yep. You ain't stopping this train.
And that's one thing about this book. I mean, we'll have comments about, really how the story ultimately unfolds, but the writing is good. The writing's good.
I would say of all the books, this is, well, a brief overview, if you will allow. I think this book is the most consistently written all the way throughout. It's a straightforward story. It goes from point A to B to C to D. And there's none of this, in the other books, because of the way the timeline was working, you were jumping in and out of the story. So when you read Teclis, this was the origination story. This is where everything comes from. By the time you get to Be'lakor, you're jumping back in time to see this happened over here, but it has a big impact in what's going on forward with Be'lakor. So there's kind of that disjointed feeling in all those books, whereas this one's just a straight flat story. Mm-hmm. And it's a really well written. The only thing I could kind of say is it's sort of cartoony, if you will.
Yeah, there's definitely some parts that'll have you thinking back to, the Acme days of Looney Tunes, but we'll talk about that when that does pop up.
Yeah.
One thing I enjoyed about this story is it felt like it was constantly moving forward, right? It makes me think of, not quite to this extent, but Mad Max Fury Road, where almost the entire movie is a chase sequence, right?
Yeah.
This is something where it is constantly moving forward. The thing that is going to happen is going to happen. The only time we really step back is when we get the history of Kragnos. Who's Kragnos? What is he? And that's really just to inform you what it is that Alariel just did.
Yeah.
Right.
And the importance of it.
So the Oak of Ages erupts, and what happens? Well, there was a sleeping god that suddenly woke up because the mountain starts to shift and crack because of the oak, right?
And just to make sure, the rite of life that Alariel performs right here in the prologue, it has far-reaching effects across the realms, just like the cloud that Be'lakor did and the necroquake. It's not just limited to Ghyran. This is it's taking root, if you will, in all the realms. Little pun there. Oh, I'm so good. Anyway, it's taking root in all the realms. So she had a big plan. But yeah, it did kind of wake up a sleeping god. And another thing I want to call out, and I think it's kind of nice. Maybe they listen to us. Chances are probably not. But this is not another mistake by Sigmar. The imprisonment of Kragnos was done by the Seraphon and a certain frog we all know and love who did it. And then Alariel's the one who set him free. Mm-hmm. And at no point does Sigmar have to take any of the blame for this. And honestly, this is one of the first times you see something big happen where it's not Sigmar's fault. He's not guilty for any part of this.
Yeah.
It's not like Kragnos was in a storm vault or, one of those vaults that opened up during the necroquake. Mm-hmm. He was innocent for this. So, I mean, maybe they're trying to untarnish his reputation a little bit. I
don't know, man. Just because he just didn't have a hand in it doesn't mean his hands are clean, right?
Right. I mean, he's usually had some, like the necroquake was bad enough.
Yeah.
But when you look at how he had imprisoned all these things, these horrible world-altering things, thinking, this will never get undone.
Right.
And Nagash snaps his fingers and all your work is turned to dust and you're looking like the clown shoe. Well, you are the clown shoes, but you're looking like the idiot. In this case, he's not guilty. Yeah, so right. I like that.
I mean, it just revealed Sigmar's sort of quasi-betrayal to the elves, when they had all those penumbral engines. And they're like, oh, yeah, this is exactly what I'll do. He's like, yeah, totally cool. Go ahead and give it to me. And then he reverses what it does.
Crony, buddy, help me reverse these. You idiot. Here's these things that could bring learning to the entire... Oh, Sigmar, you. Anyway.
I'm going to use it to hide my sins.
Yeah, basically. The things that I can't kill because I'm not really that good of a god, I'll imprison. Yeah, loser. So then we move on to... Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say that was my transition point, too. Because then we get to go to Excelsis.
Act 1.
And this is... We get some backstory in Excelsis, which is super important. It's known as the City of Secrets. I think there's a book related to it.
Yeah, there's several books set in Excelsis.
Right. It's previously had been ravaged by Tzeentch, where Tzeentch tried to take over Excelsis. And one of the notes is that spear-looking shard or whatever it is. Yeah. It's like the forms the center of the city. There's stone that can come from it. And it can give you glimpses of the future.
Yeah, a tiny chip can give you Prophetic knowledge. Yep.
Whereas like a rock of it will like have you seeing things beyond imagination, right?
Yeah.
And so Tzeentch had tried to take Excelsis, and they managed to stop Tzeentch.
Yes.
Right? As Tzeentch is often stopped. But it did something to the people of Excelsis.
Right.
And it ultimately gives birth this thing called the Nullstone Brotherhood, which, just my sort of like overview of that real quick. Like I was reading it, I was like, well, this is really interesting. And the more I read about it, I was deeply disturbed by the Nullstone Brotherhood.
Yeah.
Right? Like to a core. And not because of the ultimate thing that happened, twins were born, but
Yep.
like the actions they took were truly horrific because they were so affected by the magics of Tzeentch in terms of how it ravaged the city, where they have whole sections quarantined, where you have roaming spells and no one goes there. These people just abhor magic.
Yeah.
And they took excessive steps.
It's, it flashes back to that mob mentality that when something oppressive happens and, a large group of people turn and blame something that probably is not all to blame, but you can get that mob mentality going. And that Null Brotherhood is it's pretty much that sort of fanaticism. It's ultimate fascism or insert any ism, but it's fanaticalism at an extreme level. And this is another case where the cure is far worse than the disease.
Oh yeah. They start rounding up elves because elves are so closely related to magic.
Yeah.
And
You're an elf, you must know magic.
Yeah.
Therefore
you must die.
Yeah. Which actually plays into anyway.
Oh man. That when the twins are born, it's creepy.
Yeah.
So things are not so good in Excelsis, right?
No.
And I mean, of course, they're guarded by the Knights Excelsior.
Excelsior,
right?
yeah.
Excelsior. And those guys are just unyielding, right?
Mm-hmm.
They just stoic and murder machines,
Yes.
right? Which comes up later when, the Skaven attack. Just like you just see how just uncaring they are because they're just like, there's no room for it, right? We just have to kill chaos.
Yes, we have to. No matter what it takes, we destroy this bridgehead.
Yep.
And if that means destroying chunks of the city, oh well. And you also have the Order of what's important later is you have the Order of Azir here too, which are your chaos hunting, demon hunting groups. Pretty much very well organized, well equipped, and powerful.
Oh yeah.
So, and because there's a couple of main characters that come out of the Order of Azir.
Yeah, they're all right. They're not main characters. No, I'm kidding.
They call themselves witch hunters, but honestly, they're really demon hunters, I think.
And spell hunters.
Yeah, and spell hunters. Yeah,
that's the Van Dents, which they're really cool, man. I really like their characters.
Yeah, and the models that came out they captured that essence really well, I think.
Oh yeah, and just sort of to talk about it before we even get there, just like how martially adept these two are. Like you haven't really seen humans doing what these two do in the books so far, right?
Yeah.
They are so skilled.
Yeah.
Man, I can't wait to get to the part in the throne room. We'll get there later. But one thing to know about Excelsis, there's actually a Seraphon embassy that's there.
Weirdly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just, I don't know. Might be part of the Deus Ex Machina of Croak, right?
Sure.
Oh, there happens to be a Seraphon embassy, right? I know that Duralia goes there at one point, I think early on, but apparently like inside it doesn't make sense. Like it's much larger than it should be. Yeah. It's all those magics.
It's smaller on the outside.
It's the embassy of holding, right?
Yeah.
So that's gonna like throw someone for a loop, right? So that was a funny little part in here. Apparently they like to drink, right?
Sure.
Because she comes out of the Seraphon embassy and she's just kind of like dazed. And, her dad's like, whoa, something's wrong. Let's get you taken care of. And then she takes 3 shots of liquor.
Yeah.
All right. I'm good now, Dad.
I got this.
I'm good now, Dad. Which, another reason why I love them so much.
Yeah.
we're introduced to, and I just think it's a horrible name, the White Reaper. He was what is he, a Knight Veritant?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And he's the one who runs the Knights Excelsior. What was his name again?
Hang on.
Other than the White Reaper? I'm just going to call him Knight Veritant, probably. Yeah, so it's sort of like something's going on. The Van Dents are here because something's going on. They're not quite sure yet. But that's why they show up and why they're trying to see, what could be done. And very quickly, after the whole sequence, with the Seraphon embassy introducing, the White Reaper.
Yeah, Ceres Centanus.
There we go, Ceres.
Sorry.
Then all hell just starts breaking loose.
Yeah.
One of my favorite things that's gone through all of the Broken Realm series is just, what are the Skaven up to? Right? Because they are turning up. Right?
Everywhere.
It's so awesome. Like we had the, Mission Impossible with, was it Crixit and the Bellicor thing, where they run in and set the Warp Storm bomb and blow it up. This one's even crazier. So we have Ratachak, who I like his description in here. We're just like so obsessed with like fire and flame and what it does to bodies, and like anything that's been charred is just delicious, right? They're crazy.
Yes.
It's so cool. They come in and start just blasting the crap out of Excelsius.
Yeah, they tunnel underneath
Excelsius,
it.
yeah.
And you're going to find out later how and why, but their whole attack was sort of a it's a feint basically, but it's whenever the Skaven do something, it seems like they either do it really small scale where it's like 4 dudes, or it's like, let's empty the entire mountain into this place. And it's just hilarious. You get all these. I just love the way they write skinks. It's so...
The way they write Skaven?
With Skaven. Skinks. Skaven. Yeah, it's just so... It's either all or nothing for them. They're either super brave or they're running away. And it just captures the flavor of the army, or the army captures the flavor of the lore. But, one way or the other, it just ties together really, really well.
And I think to a degree, probably not so much with Gorjak in this, but to a degree, I think they do capture the flavor of the armies in this narrative.
Yes.
Right? Like, it feels like the rules and everything work together, and that'll be part of my rant when we get to Kragnos. But I really feel like that's how I thought this army works.
Yeah.
Right? Like, not just on the tabletop, but how I envision them in the books. Like, it really, really comes together, I feel.
So, before we move on to the next part of this lore, I want to throw something out to GW. Okay. Stop screwing with the Latin, okay? Because up next, we are going to run into Dexessa and Sinessa. Okay, and the point here basically is, if you are aware, dextra is Latin for left, and what is it? I forgot, what's the one for right? It's not Sinessa. It's not. Gosh darn it! It's not Sinra. That's right, but it's some form of that. Where we get the word sinister from is from being left-handed, but right and left are Dex and Sin. And of course, so these two sisters are named after the right and left, but it's just your freewheeling abuse of Latin is just it's appalling. GW, stop it.
Well, I think classically you have to use Latin to summon demons.
Yeah, that's a good point, but it's just so funny. So crazy the way they twist it. Even in 40K, all of the mock Latin that they pass off as High Gothic. I love the way they always portray it, because it's the way it would be in the 40th millennium. Christ, Latin is a dead language now.
Yeah.
Can you imagine how screwed up it's going to be in 40,000 years? And same thing back here. I think it's just a neat little nod to, anyway.
Just some J.K. Rowling style stuff. Right?
Yeah.
Harry Potter, where she just
Yeah.
adds Osa or something to the end of something.
Yes.
Before we get to the twins, with the Knights Excelsior, the Skaven are coming in and just blowing crap up.
Yeah, they're pouring out of these holes that they made.
Yeah, and flamethrowers everywhere, and it's that warp flame, right?
Yes.
So, like, it goes to just how stoic they are and how murderous these guys are, is that if someone's on fire, you kill them.
Yes.
Because you cannot, have the possibility of, chaos tainting them, right?
That's right.
It could be they don't die and they turn into some monstrosity. Nope. And so they have archers just putting people down, and they're countercharging these Skaven, right? And I don't know if it's at this part or a little bit later on, but we actually find out that even though all this stuff is happening with the Skaven tide, right?
Yeah.
There are a bunch of Eshin assassins that are infiltrating the city.
Yeah.
That's because of, Slaanesh.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And honestly, this whole Skaven assault on Excelsis is a precursor as well as a feint to draw their, attention, and we'll later get into who's behind all that. But it's really telling how someone out there has observed how the different Stormcast chambers, chapters, hosts are, and they're using what would normally be their strength against them. And for these knights of Excelsius, their single-minded hatred of all things chaotic, of any sort of taint, is just, you can have them chasing wild gooses all you want by just saying, hey, look, there's chaos in the corner. And before you know it, they will all be in that corner just doing dumb things, because Stormcast are not bright. They may be tough, but they're not bright. So, yeah, it's really, I love how they're starting to take some of the attributes of these major hosts. And so, every now and again, they're being used against them. They're being turned, and it's one of those, it's going to happen is, these guys are going to learn from these different generals what their little foibles are.
Yeah.
And they're going to be taken advantage of. And it's kind of nice to see that, it's not just a straightforward Skaven attacked, Stormcast went in and killed them all because that's what they do. And yeah, no, there's a lot to that story. It's only 2 pages? The actual attack is only
the attack of
4 pages.
Yeah, they come out, start burning crap, then the Knights Excelsior come in and counterattack.
Yeah, pretty much once they realize that the enemy is in town and the Paladins basically form that first line of defense, really before they can just pour out into the city, the Paladins kind of make a line, and then the rest of the host just is like, okay, we got this. And
I think at first what was happening was the humans, right, the normal people, were getting rallied and running out. I think there's even one part where there's like a storm fiend that's like fighting a bunch of dudes, and then like the dude rips the rat out of the back but then gets melted. It's like, it's not just people taking this lying down, but people weren't expecting it. People drunk in bars, it's a coastal town, so there's a bunch of sailors.
Yeah, average day.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden there's rats everywhere.
Explosions.
You big rat.
Missiles.
Yeah.
Machine guns. Oh, I love this game. And they're so
Warp
funny.
fire throwers. Yeah. They can be horrible. And it was a neat little battle scene.
And then here's the culmination of all that evil crap
Yes.
that the Nullstone Brotherhood was doing. Who was it? Malgan is the one who leads them, right?
Yeah.
So they actually, in one of the quarantine areas, they had this house or mansion or something there, where what they were doing is they were getting all of these mirrors and setting them up in this room, and they would take the elves down there, right, and like have them look in the mirrors and sort of be like, you understand how horrible you are, what it is that you are, and they would freaking kill them there. Well, little did they know that what was actually happening is that this was a elongated ritual of Slaanesh. And so it would talk about how the Brotherhood would like come in, do their horrible acts, leave, and like the little Eshin assassins would come in and like start breaking the mirrors until they were all fractured, right? And eventually enough sacrifice and enough just horrible things that they were doing resulted in, the birth of the twins, right? Latin and all, they are brought into this world, and they are supposed to be, manifestations, true manifestations of Slaanesh itself.
Yes.
And you'd think they'd be better than they are.
It's being the children born from both the birth of a god and the undying hatred between Marathi and her nemesis, Sinessa and Dixessa, were creatures of not only dark beauty, but also a deep and indelible self-loathing, which goes a little bit towards explaining their war scroll.
Oh yeah,
They hate themselves.
They do, and we kind of hate themselves too. So you have the talent of Slaanesh and the voice of Slaanesh, and their whole thing, as we'll see a little bit later, is that they're here to party.
Yes,
right? They are here to party, and so with all these horrible things happening here, these two twins, that was redundant. These twins are born, and they're ready for a revel, and so the demons start coming with them.
yeah.
End Act 1.
Yeah, kind of. That's where we drop off Act 1, where we have Skaven sort of bubbling up in Excelsis, but under control. But we also have a couple of demons downtown. And unfortunately, the reason they're there is because of the single-mindedness of the people who thought they were doing the right thing.
Yep.
And it just turns out that anything to excess is probably bad.
In this case, was manifestly bad.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You know, the horrific, I guess we call it racism of the Nullstone Brotherhood.
Yeah.
You know, because they think that if they kill the people of that race, then they're actually going to prevent the horrible things from happening, and they cause the horrible things by doing that.
Yes.
There is a moral story here. Definitely read that.
Yeah.
And then it ends with the twins, you know, coming out high-fiving.
Yeah,
right?
pretty much.
And then we get, as we talked about before, the real only like big flashback in the story of some girth. So this is where Act 2 starts, and we get the introduction of Kragnos. Who is Kragnos?
And I've got to say, the art on this page 35 of the book is it's a silly piece of drawing. I know it's really crazy, but these are black overleaf pages, and just the face of Kragnos coming out of the page is just so awesome.
Oh yeah,
You're just like, oh my God, that is cool. And it's, you know, these are the 2 pages of backstory for Kragnos. And it kind of gives you that idea. Well, it's not 2 pages. Kragnos gets quite a bit of story, but the whole idea of him and his background, it's really kind of cool because he's basically unknown, i.e. he's a new model. So they kind of have to lay this groundwork, and it's really well done. He's the first all mortal realms sort of god figure. I mean, he started here, he rose here, and he became a god here. And so he's, you know, he's a homeboy. And ooh, boy, is he a homeboy. He was a member of a tribe known as I hate some of these names, the Drogrook. Drogrook, you want to, okay. And, you know, even as a child, he was a little bit of an outcast because he was sort of a jerk. Yeah, he fought with everybody, and he finally gets kicked out of the tribe, goes out on his own, and he's like, well, hell with it. I'll bring all these other baddies. You know, I'll get some ogres together. I'll get some Iron Jaws together. I'll make a war band it'll just about do anything. And, you know, before too long, he's out there sacking cities.
Yep. Then
Then he's sacking countries. Then he's sacking empires. And he gets the moniker. Some people, you know, their moniker is like Shield Breaker. His is Destroyer of Empires.
End of Empires.
Yeah, End of Empires. So yeah, he got good at what he did.
And with that, you know, as he was able to take on greater and greater foes, you know, greenskins, you know, things like that would revere him, and they would bring him essentially offerings of like the finest monster bone, and it was like Amberstone or something like that. I can't remember.
Yeah, Amberstone and
which is the realm stone of Gur, right?
Yep.
And so he's just eating all of this. And I mean, he's destruction. What does destruction do? They get bigger, right?
Yeah.
And he keeps getting bigger and bigger and stronger until he is the strongest.
And yeah, you know, at certain points he's fighting dragons by himself and winning that fight. So yeah, you know, he's even in his original incarnation, he's godlike. So yeah, he goes around, and it was him that destroyed like the Shaggoth Empire. I mean, like he took down an entire faction of, you could kind of assume that they were once a faction in the mortal realms. They would have had cool models in a book, and they probably would have been OP at one point, but then they got really nerfed or something. But he just wiped them all out. I mean, it's like, wow. But he ended up facing, what was the Draconith? Draconith.
Yeah, he. I think that's where he rallied his race together.
Yeah.
Right. And before the, was it Draconith or Dracolith? Draconith, right?
Yeah.
They used to be allies essentially.
Yeah.
Right. With the Dragric, and he's like, guys, like we need to show we're the best.
Right.
Right. We need to be the strongest, and so he actually gets them to march on the Draconith.
Yep.
And it is probably, I mean, it completely ended his tribe except for him, right?
Yeah.
All of his tribe was wiped out, and there were only a few Draconith left after they marched on that stronghold,
Yeah.
right? And so then the Draconith are like, holy crap.
Yeah, this dude is.
How do we defeat? I don't know if we can. And so then they go to the Seraphon, right? They find their space frogs, and they're like, Croak, you got to help us out. And he's like, all right, here's what we do. We use the remaining Draconith as bait.
Yep.
To draw Kragnos, and we will bind him underneath this mountain. And it works.
Yay.
Like, he charged up the mountain towards the Draconith, and then all the Seraphon, do their spells and space magic or whatever else they, maybe a tractor beam probably, right? And they grab him, pick him up, open up the mountain, drop him in there, slap it
close
shut.
the mountain.
And
Problem solved.
what it did to Kragnos is that it almost like made him go to sleep.
Yeah.
Right. So once Alariel does this, I don't know, nature quake, life quake, tree quake, I don't know what you want to call it, Kragnos wakes up.
Yeah. So the right of life. Yay.
Yeah.
Let's plant new stuff. Let's grow up all the old stuff. Oh, wait.
Those roots, they got into the mountain where Kragnos was.
Oh, boy.
And all of a sudden he's like, wait, where am I?
Yeah.
And he starts smashing. I mean, what else is Kragnos doing?
What else do you do?
He just, he's got his shield, was it Tuskbreaker, and he's got his mace, and he's just smashing into the mountain, trying to get out. Which is interesting, because I think that what that does, right, is it's almost like a war drum for some of the destruction armies. They hear it, and they're like, we need to go there.
This whole mountain mountain range is shaking from the inside. Something cool is happening there, and I'll bet something awesome is going to come out. And it's a couple of paragraphs here, but it's really kind of cool because as more and more of Alariel's spells or her right of life takes effect, it's actually becoming easier and easier for to batter through a mountain, millions of tons of rock. And you have this reasonably large horse-looking guy who is beating it down from the inside. And so the more her right is taking effect, he's just having more and more fun blasting through it. And you can kind of get, as you're reading that passage, you can kind of see how all of his old strength is returning as he's doing all of this. So when he finally pops out, it's like, oh golly, he's angry.
But it's so funny to me, and to him.
Yeah.
Not funny to him. He feels like he's been asleep for a couple hours. Like he's just as if nothing happened.
Yeah, he's like, I lost consciousness when I fell into this mountain thing. I woke up and I started battering my way out. He has no idea how much time passed in between those two events.
Thousands and thousands of years.
Yeah.
So when he runs out, the landscape has completely changed, right? It is nothing like he thought he would see. He thought he'd be right back where he was.
And this was his world. This was where he knew everything. He knew every tree stump.
Yep.
And all of a sudden, nothing is right.
And what's most off-putting for him is when he looks over and he sees a human city. He sees Excelsis and he says, oh, no.
Yeah, no.
Not in my plane. Not in my realm.
Yeah, I knocked it down once. Don't make me do it again. Oh, I'm doing it again.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh gosh. And this is where, again, 20,000 foot view of this book. It's the well-written destruction book. There's not a lot of subtlety. No. This guy wakes up, sees a city, says, okay, I'm going there.
Yeah.
And I was just like, this is not, we're not talking Bellicor here, who's making plans within plans. We're not talking Teclis, who's, getting wooga with this other stuff. It's not Marathi trying to become a god by doing these 15 different subplots. This is, dude, hammer, shield. I got this. So, yeah. He sees Excelsis and says, that's where I'm going.
And he starts pulling Mega Gargants with him like right away.
It's basically, as these destruction forces see him, there's not this, are you worthy to be my boss? It's just like they understand. This guy just beat his way out of a mountain. He's the boss.
Yeah.
And there's only one, we'll get to him in a minute, who doesn't immediately come to that realization. But yeah, Gargants are just falling in behind him. Ogres are falling in behind. Orc tribes are just getting in line behind him. And he's looking back going, right on.
Yeah. All right, guys, I guess you're coming with me. But we're going to smash that thing.
Yeah. We're going there. We're going to smash it. Y'all in? Okay, good.
Now,
enter
our friend Skragrot, who I'm going to say is the exception to the destruction rule here.
Yes.
Now, they talk about, being brutal and cunning. And in fact, when you read Gordrak in the War Clans book, he seems like he's always both of those things, right? He ends up, to use your Manfred term, he ends up being kind of a clown shoe. But Skragrot, this guy his machinations are far reaching. So I think, what it comes down to? Gordrak's like, I want to go smash Excelsis.
Yeah.
And then Skragrot's like, okay, we have to do things, though. We need to get things to do this.
And what's really weird is, here you have this Moon Clan Grot. He's still a Grot. And yet he's talking to Gordrak. And Gordrak is like, all right, yeah. So, Skragrot's got some power. He is the king of the Moon Clan. And I guess there's enough of them that they slightly impress the orcs. So, yeah, it's just the whole, his machinations, he's written really kind of well, I think, in this.
Oh, yeah.
And even his machinations are kind of straightforward. It's not a very convoluted plan, but it's kind of it's a domino plan.
Yeah.
We just have to knock this over to knock that over to knock that over. So, yeah, they start on the march.
So he's trying to work out, and I'll just kind of glaze over this because there's a lot of his machinations.
The 3 artifacts?
Yeah. The 3 artifacts, but he's also doing things like interacting with these ogres, right?
Yeah.
Where he's like, go to Excelsis and offer them your services as mercenaries.
Yeah, hire on.
Right? Because when they see, this coming, they're going to be like, oh, we can't turn down the help.
Right.
Right? And then, then you'll just betray them.
Yeah, then you'll just be like, wrong.
So they do have to get the artifacts. So was it the Basha shard? Is that it? They have essentially this giant god beast's skull.
Yeah.
Right? On a battering ram. Okay?
Right.
And in fact, they have to have Mega Gargants push the thing because it's just so massive.
Yeah.
Right?
Think Grond from the Lord of the Rings movies, except bigger and badder.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And there are the 2 other artifacts. I don't think they actually go get them, do they?
No, they don't. They're kind of a MacGuffin, I think, that they could pull at a later time.
Yeah, just sort of alluding to them.
Yeah, the big one they needed was the head for the battering ram.
Which they had. They had that. And
knowing full well that with the gates of Excelsis, which when sealed are almost impenetrable because of the casts and the wards and the Lord Ordinators doing all their stuff to them, basically you can't get in the city when those doors are closed.
yeah.
This thing, being the head of a god beast and being ensorcelled, is going to just split those doors wide open. And Skragrot knows this, and he's like, see, this is step 1. We don't want to get into this protracted siege, do you? You want to start, fighting the Humies. So we have to be able to open the doors. So let's go do this. And this is where the Iron Jaws are like, yeah, okay, we'll do that.
Yeah.
Because, we don't want to be camping outside the walls. Bad things happen when you make camps like that. Sieges are stupid.
Yeah.
We just want to get in and fight. So, and
smash it.
yeah, it's just a really refreshing literary take on this is how it really would go down. I mean, this is an intelligent destruction force wouldn't just march on a city and hope for the best. This is a little bit of planning will go a long way towards getting you to your goal.
Right.
And I love how they're starting to make destruction not in this part, not just stupid march, fight, eat, march, fight, eat. So, yeah, it gets better.
Yeah, that's one of the things like the Ogor Ma tribes. Like, how to even really do their lore? Because, I mean, they're like the most single-minded destruction faction there is, which is to eat more of the things. What is their goal? To eat the things.
To eat the things, yeah. And, it makes it very hard as a narrative player to get into them when that single focus is just, let's go kill stuff. Especially when, you'd like to sort of play a little smarter than that. But anyway, yeah. So now you have these two different things heading for Excelsis. You have Kragnos, the very angry, bullheaded god, with a crap ton of destruction behind him, mostly being ogres and giants. And you have Gordrak and Skragrot who are going, and they have the key to the city. Well, or the battering ram for the city.
Yeah.
And they're like on this big V shaped, and the V is going to meet just before Excelsis. Well, quite a bit before Excelsis. And so as they're both marching, they meet.
And it was kind of a fun fight occurs between Gordrak and Kragnos. It's a little cartoony in a way.
This is where the book let me down the most.
Yeah.
It's so formulaic. It was like watching an episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer or any one of these, procedural TV dramas that are on TV now. The Grey's Anatomy, the Chicago, 5 minutes in, you know exactly what's going to happen. And it was like, I don't know how else you would write it because, I mean, Gordrak has in the past been like the de facto leader of destruction. And you needed to take him down a peg to make Kragnos the god. But it seems to me you could have done something a lot more like Khorne versus Skarbrand.
Mm-hmm.
Where Gordrak walks up and he's like, I'm the leader of blah, blah, blah. And Kragnos just basically flips a hoof at him and just knocks him 4 counties and says, if you want to be with us, you can, because you're okay. You challenged me. But to have them sit there and fight, I thought was so contrived.
It wasn't a terribly long fight.
No, I mean, luckily it was short.
Yeah, so I know that, like, right off the bat, like, Gordrak kills, like, 3 Mega Gargants because he's just that cool, apparently.
Yeah. Do that on the table.
Yeah.
Not happening, pal.
Nope. Good luck. Maybe eventually he could.
Yeah.
But he just hacks him down. Kragnos goes to meet him. Gordrak, like, jumps at him. I think he even, like, cuts his mouth, like, his tongue in his mouth, like, throws the axe into his mouth.
Yeah.
Then he, like, spits it out, and then Big Teeth comes at Kragnos, and he just baseball bats him into, like, some spires or something like that. And then Big Teeth gets back up and runs at him, just gets kicked in the face with a hoof, and is like, okay, I'll stop.
Yeah.
And so, they bash each other up a little bit, and then Kragnos just starts walking, and then he points his mace at Excelsis, and then Gordrak's like, all right, cool, yeah, let's go.
Yeah, heading that way. I mean, but once again, Gordrak had a part in that. He cast a spell of flying teeth from the bad moon to distract both of them and to get them to kind of, stop fighting so much. Because it looked, at one point it looked like Kragnos would just put him down.
Oh, yeah.
And, Skragrot got him to stop and say, hang on a second, guys. We all have the same goal here. Let's just throw together. And, I guess it was kind of a cool little way of showing that Kragnos is now the leader of destruction and not Gordrak.
I agree.
But it was so contrived. So, whatever.
I mean, again, I don't think he could have handled it any other way. I mean, unless Kragnos came and just like put Gordrak down, but then again, Gordrak is just that powerful too, right?
Right. He should have a shot
Yeah.
at leadership, but he just got bested by somebody better than him.
Mm-hmm.
And that's cool. And, he will fall in line now because one thing about destruction is they understand
Yeah.
this guy threw me for a loop, so he's the boss for now.
So Skragrot's probably like, whew, okay.
boy.
Okay.
I really didn't want to lose this chance.
Right.
Oh, man.
I mean, we've been planning way too long. And then one of the things we double back on just a little bit, just to underscore this, is that the way that it was written is that Skragrot is the cunning of Mork.
Right.
And, Gordrak he's not just a fist of Gork, but the essentially manifestation of him.
Yeah, he's the brutal part.
Yeah.
He's not the cunning part.
Not in this, even though he was before, maybe a little retconning.
Yeah, a little bit.
So I like that line there. It was said that Gork and Morka smiled that day.
Yeah.
Whenever they came together.
Yeah, I mean, that's the way it should be. He's like, yeah, my boys got there. Yeah. One thing I do want to say, where Skragrot was really, he didn't want to see the two fighting to the death, was, we alluded to those 3 artifacts of which they had one.
Mm-hmm.
Another one of them is in Excelsis.
Mm-hmm.
So he wants to get in there to get that. So Skragrot has plans here. And that'll come up later on in the book, kinda. It's another one of those strings they're going to pull. So he wants to make sure that they don't kill each other and get this whole expedition off track.
Yeah, it's part of the prophecy, and he's looking to have the prophecy fulfilled.
So at that point is when Act 2 ends, and we're going to pick up Act 3 after a short lunch. Coming to you almost conscious from, wow, that was a big lunch we just had, folks. Woo, Act 3, maybe.
If it's boring, we'll be falling asleep too. So
It's true, yeah. We'll fall asleep before you do. Yeah. So. And we'll know it's coming.
Okay, so we're moving into Act 3, which is the siege, right? There's a lot in here, but some of it just feels a little draggy.
Yeah, like we were just talking, I think some of this siege was written for page count. It's not bad. It's actually a really good read, and it's a good big battle depiction. It just, a lot of it doesn't, it's not moving the story anywhere. I think it's filler. I think they're like, okay, this book has to be this many pages, and we've only got this many rules. So, yeah, let's tell that siege a lot better.
Yeah, this is the very end. So it's just a lot of detail on the siege.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to do a little bit high level on this, just to touch on important parts. So I'm going to start out with, we forgot to mention earlier that when all this stuff was happening in Excelsis,
Oh, yeah.
that, what's his name? I already forgot. The White Reaper.
Cessna. Cessna the biplane.
The Lord Veritant, right?
Yeah, the White Reaper.
So he's like, oh man, stuff's happening. Go get Gardas because he knows how to get in touch with Croak. So he sends people to go find the dummy, and well, lo and behold, the siege it's about to hit, and then Croak turns up, but of course, no one can see him.
No.
He's invisible. He's floating above the Seraphon embassy, and so when Lord Croak shows up, he's going to do something really important to make sure that Excelsis isn't sieged,
Right.
by just putting a barrier around it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, folks, he's literally just there to try and put a little bit of a magic ward, which frankly didn't matter because they come up with the giant battering ram and the god beast. I mean, it shatters the battering ram,
Sure.
kills some mega gargants,
Yes.
but it also breaks the ward.
Yeah.
And just sort of like understanding position wise, I think they're coming from one side of the city. Kragnos comes from the other side of the city, and as we'll hear about just a little bit, a bunch of Kraknir mega gargants come from the water and the port, right? So they're attacking on 3 fronts.
Which is a nice little nod to the watery gargants.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I like that they brought that up.
And yeah, but it's what's funny to me is the way they've used Croak in all of this there's this very brief mention that he decides that he's got to come back more in the flesh. So now he becomes Croak the frog, not Croak the husk all wrapped up in bandages. So it justifies this fantastic new model. But literally, I guess they figured there was a scale. And because he got so good on his war scroll that they could sort of, go light on his lore. And they really did. He was an ex machina in this, I think.
Oh, 100% Deus Ex Machina.
Yeah.
Right. Especially when you get to, the Looney Tunes ending, right? That happens. I want to underscore one thing before we just, again, skip over too much, but Skragrot's cunning is really showing here. Because, they know this horde's coming.
Right.
Right? And so they set up defenses, so they've got, all these marksmen, out front ready to go. They've got, kill zones that they're going to try and funnel them into. They put wards up from all of the wizards, right?
Collegiate Arcane, who are now all of a sudden in demand.
Yeah.
We're not just going to kill you on sight. The witch hunters, we're not just going to kill you on sight anymore. We would really like your help now.
Yeah, please.
Two-faced little... Anyway.
So, Skragrot, we already know what he did with the Ogres. He sends in... They see these lumbering things coming. They're like, there must be the Mega Gargants. So they just start firing. Turns out they're trolls.
Yeah.
Right? Who are just getting shot to crap. But they're all so dumb that they don't know what's happening, right?
Right.
And so they just keep marching along, getting shot up. And Skragrot knew this all along, right? He's like, we point them that way. They're going to go that way until they die or they get to where they're going. So he does that. So they waste a ton of ammunition on these guys. Which goes to Skragrot being so dang smart. They do reach the towers. One kind of fun thing was, when they had the battering ram and they hit that ward, Gordrak was at the forefront.
Oh,
right?
man.
And it explodes and sends them all flying. He flies straight up in the air and then lands on one of the ramparts, I think it was.
Yeah.
And then Big Teeth, he comes back down and scrambles back up. Then Gordrak gets up and starts fighting dudes and gets back on Big Teeth. So it's chaos, everywhere. And then from the other side comes Kragnos.
Yeah.
And he comes smashing in. He's got a bunch of greenskins with him. Smashes through the wall. No problem, of course.
And it's kind of really nicely well written where everybody else had to use some kind of trick or some kind of ruse to bust their way in. Kragnos just walked up and said, I'm here.
My house.
Yeah. So I was like, they're very subtly showing that this guy is the power.
Yeah.
So.
And one thing you find out, too, is that as they're destroying the walls, you actually find these little burrows or something for the rats, for the Skaven.
Yeah.
Because, Slanesh, the twins, had actually hired the Skaven to do the assassin work and to also do things to weaken the walls.
Yes.
Right? And that's just letting them plow through.
Yeah, and the Clan Eshin guys have done their little stuff as requested by the Demon Sisters. Yeah.
Yeah. They're getting it done.
So really what you have now, you have a force inside the city with the sisters. They need to be dealt with. And then you have pretty much two very distinct armies attacking the city. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of interesting how everybody has to take their own piece of the defense of Excelsis.
And when the sisters start coming through, I don't know, I thought of it like Ferris Bueller's Day Off with the parade. Everyone just starts joining in.
Yeah.
But in a very horrific way. Any humans that were not, defenses like the rich folk, the nobles, they see this revel coming through the city and they're just in it. As horrific as it is.
And as strange as it might be that the city's under attack, but hey, let's get on the party barn.
Yep.
Or the party barge.
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
So they're going on in. The knights Excelsior having a bit of a time, trying to hold them back. And then that's when they get reinforcements. And what was the storm host that reinforced him?
Astral
Templars. Yep. Yeah. So they come crashing in. They know how to fight giant beasts.
Yeah,
that's what they do.
They're big at this. And shout out to that very subtle nod to AOS 3.0. These are monster hunters.
Yep.
So, and what are we facing a lot of? Monsters. So,
yeah, we just happened to be in Gur.
How cool that is.
Yeah. So they come in and join the fray. Now this is where the Kraken Eater Mega Gargants come out of the water,
ocean,
and start smashing and bashing at the port. And so oh crap, we're already fighting on two fronts. I'm sure the Astral Templars are here, but we got just a massive number of these Kraken Eaters showing up.
Yeah.
How are we going to handle all of this? And then all of a sudden, these giant harpoons start slamming into the necks of the Kraken Eaters, tipped with poison. And so they get all wobbly and start falling down.
Oh, no.
And what's that on the horizon? Well, one of the things we also forgot to mention is that the Scourge Privateers actually were at the port, but they left before the battle had occurred.
Right.
So now, looking back, you see them coming. And they're on like one of their massive floating vessels, right?
Yes.
And it's shooting these harpoons tipped with poison in order to take down these Kraken Eaters, so they get reinforcements on the third front.
Yes. Again, the scope of these books, in order to have the sets of rules in the back, they kind of have to bring everybody into the fray somehow. As contrived as it is, it's not super horrible. There's really a reason for all of these things to be here. There's a reason the Astral Templars jumped in, because they were requested. Croak shows up because not only, is there like an embassy here, so he has kind of there's a link to the Seraphon in the city, and he knows something bad's happening, but he's also got this feeling, it talks about in there how he has this sense that something I did 10, 15,000 years ago has been undone. Oh, gosh darn it, there's Kragnos again. I put him away, 55 generations ago, and you silly elves. So he feels like he has to make an appearance here. So the reinforcements that are coming, the Duarden, there's a reason for everybody to be here. Although the story is somewhat direct, and it's not like the other stories where it's wide-ranging and crazy. This has been a plotting assault on the city. They've had a chance to send out word for all this help. And it's kind of neat to see how, as the end draws near, all of these things come to fruition. And throughout the entire story, the two witch hunters, Galen and Doralia, she originally had the first vision from Lord Croak.
Uh-huh.
And then now at this point in the book, she has another one, and she sees Croak is coming back, and he's different. He's not the way it was in the first vision. And so they're giving you that sort of reference cue that you can put your old model away because here's the new one.
Yep.
It's not that obvious, but it's it's really kind of, I know I'm trying to say and knock the book saying it's too cartoony. It's very destructionist. It's very on a path, and everything happens for a reason. And it was actually kind of fun to read, because you're not, after a while, you're going through it and you're like, oh, there's not going to be any real weirdness, so I can just jump into this moment. So,
yeah.
Anyway, that was my aside. So now that the newborns are doing their stuff, actually it's Galen and Doralia that decide they're going to go handle that portion. They're going to go handle the party barge and the demons, because that's their shtick. Everybody else can do the big fights. And so everybody splits up into what they're good at.
Yeah.
The Astral Templars head for the monsters. Everybody else heads for the Gordrak side of the invasion. And we have 10 or 15 pages of just flat out battle.
Yeah.
So if you're into, hammer and shield porn, this is the book. Get it.
So when the Black Ark shows up, they start taking down all these Kraken Eaters. And one of the things I forgot to mention, when Kraken Eaters came out, like there's just so many of them and they're so big, it causes like a tidal wave.
Yes.
Right? And so it's rough going, but they are splitting up. And well, lo and behold, we have this one Mega Gargant. He turns the Kraken Eater and he's like, I'm going to go take down this Black Ark.
Yeah.
Right? And then the daughters of Cain start pouring out. And lo and behold,
What?
it's Marathi.
No way.
I know.
Marathi. She was in the first book.
It's like they're wrapping it up.
Whoa.
So Marathi steps out, and then Slanesh happens. So this is where Doralia and Galen, and then was the White Reaper go with him? In this one?
I jumped ahead. Yeah.
So the Revel has made it all the way to the throne room, right? And the twins are just like enjoying the crap out of themselves, right? So they're sitting on the throne, having fun, flaying humans,
Taking
like
selfies.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
just disgusting. It's excess.
It is. It's just excessive. Posting on Instagram, Facebook live streams.
Oh, God.
And then in come, the two spell hunters, demon hunters,
Witch hunters.
whatever you're going to call them.
Yep.
And they start taking stuff down. I think it's Dexessa who fights. Is it Dexessa who fights the White Reaper?
Yeah. Yeah,
And-
she's the fighty part.
Yeah, so that's like a brutal back and forth. Like she slices off his arm, and then when he dies, he, foreshadowing to the Thunderstrike, erupts.
Yes.
And this destroys her physical form.
her physical form, yeah.
And then Sister's like, "Oh crap, this is horrible." But then guess what? Duralia, normal human,
Yes.
decides to flip out of nowhere and just guns her down.
And it is just so, if you want a preview-ish sort of like where the Warhammer horror and Curse City stuff is kind of headed. Yeah, just, my God, she is. Those two are actually, they're beefy.
Yeah. I think her model, like her rules are a little bit better.
Yeah.
But it's just because her crossbow's so dumb.
Yeah, it's so good.
And again, this is just exemplified here. Like, and is also a knock on the Slanesh stuff. She just flips out and just, normal human, skilled at this stuff. Yeah. Normal human.
Yeah.
Just blasts her to crap.
Yep.
It's kind of awesome.
And yeah, it's kind of the first win for the good guys.
And that's huge because at that point, Slanesh has lost power.
Yeah.
So the demons are starting to be routed.
Yeah, and everything sort of fades from that, and so it basically leaves them with a one-front war.
Yeah.
It's a huge siege invasion. They have a foothold, but this is now manageable.
Yep.
It's not like we have enemies on the inside, too.
Yeah. I have to say this whole time, like Gordrak's just kind of derping around the walls and not really doing much, right? Like the wall is still trying to go, but it's losing steam, especially with the Daughters of Cain showing up. And Marathi actually engages Kragnos directly.
Yes.
And at first, it's just like, little Marathi, right? Walking up. And Kragnos is like, "Oh, I'm going to go stomp on that." And so he runs over, and then boom, the Shadow Queen.
Yeah.
He gets like hit in the shoulder. They start fighting. Marathi is unaffected by Croak's invisibility spell.
Right.
And just walks up super calm. Is going to be like, "We can't beat him. What are we going to do?"
Yeah, what do we do now?
Yeah. So Croak's like, "Well, I saw this cartoon once."
Wile E. Coyote. Super genius.
Yeah. So he opens a portal to another part of Gur.
Yes.
And Marathi somehow knows this stuff of who Kragnos is and is like, "Oh, I'm going to show him his lands."
Yeah.
Right? And so I really like the description of this here where Kragnos like essentially sees the killing blow on the Shadow Queen.
Yeah.
And goes to swing it. And then Marathi just turns it into shadow.
Yeah.
It's gone.
Gone.
Right? And he's just kind of like, "What?" And then, "Hey, buddy,
Yeah.
look over there in that hole." And
Over
he sees,
here.
like, he sees his home,
Yes.
right? Which is what he'd been looking for. He looks around, just kind of like, huh. Then he like points his mace at like Marathi and he says something in his own language, is pretty much like, "This isn't over."
Yeah, it's, let me see, good enough, she said.
Yeah, it says, "This is not over."
Yeah.
He said something powerful in the ancient Dragruk tongue, and somehow Marathi understood the intent.
This is not over.
And so then he goes galloping through the portal,
Yeah,
and it sends him to like the other side of Gur where it's chaos infested.
sure. Yeah. And, this is only a good thing because he's needed there to get rid of some chaos.
Yep.
But it's also, it is so,
Yeah.
it was such a meh ending to just be like, oh, we sent the big bad guy through the portal. And of course, the minute he goes, the force that binds all of these destruction tribes together is gone.
Yeah.
And so it's going to be this typical destruction thing of, yeah, they lose the momentum. They lose the will to fight. They realize there's more meat the other direction. So they just like, yeah, whatever.
Yep.
So by the end of it, Excelsis is literally in ruins, but it's not taken over. They haven't lost it. And the big thing, Malice's spear, that section with all the amazing, that stone that gives you the prophecy and all that stuff, they still have it. The good guys, granted, the city can be rebuilt, but it's pretty much leveled from all this massive destruction conflict. And to have it just end with a poof, he's gone. It was sort of like, I don't know how else you end it without defeating him. And you can't do that because he's a god.
Yeah.
But between the idea of Marathi showing up to save the day and, Croak opening up a portal and she's like, I'll be the bait. Like, really?
Yeah.
Is that something Marathi would do? But, okay, I guess it works and it tells the story and it goes forward and yay.
It was definitely letting the air out of your tires at the end,
Yeah, it's like, Excelsis lies in ruins, but it will survive. They'll rebuild it. They'll have all the ordinators come in and redo stuff. And then, it just really, what it does is it flies into 4 pages of epilogue.
Yeah.
Which each one of them are really, it's an interesting take at the end of this book series, because the first one you get is Bellicor. He actually encounters the newborns in his throne room.
Yeah.
And they're taunting him, and he's like, hey, now, wait a minute. Didn't you just fail yourselves? And they're like, well, yeah, but you did too. And I mean, it's like he has to remind them that he's the one that made the storm cloud that's that's turning the switch on the Stormcast and all of this stuff. This is where they also destroy your hot take.
I don't think so, man.
Well, they kind of do, because he warns them that the Duarden leading the charge over at Vindicarum from the last book was a god, a Duarden god.
Okay.
And that Chaos's power will soon be tested. So that tells me it's Grungy. You're going to say no.
My job as a defense attorney is to cast doubt on things.
Present your case, sir.
Really, what is it? He confirms it was a god, right? And then from my reading of what Grombrindle is, I think he is related to Grugny. I have to look back at it, but that's what I remember reading. When they introduce, well, spoiler, Grugny in a couple pages,
Yeah.
right? They describe him as being white-haired, but then there were other details that were left out.
Yeah.
Because when we saw Grom Thee previously, he was like runes all over his body, and there's no such description there.
True.
The way he talks about how things shake when he comes in. I don't know. I don't think that book is closed yet.
Okay. I the beauty of this is whether you say yes or whether you say no, you're not wrong.
Yeah.
So the lore is, they're leaving so many open holes that we can fill them any way we want, or they will. But, this is Games Workshop. They're not going to write themselves into a corner.
Of course.
So
They're going to leave things just slightly open for you to interpret, right?
So, how many boards are going to be lit up with who's what and what's who? And I love that part. So then we move on to the Teclis epilogue. You find him meditating with Selenar on all the things that happen in his fight with Nagash. At that point, Nagash reaches out and makes a mental connection with Teclis.
Yeah.
And he's like, all right, dude, you may have won this fight, but A, you had help, and B, death comes for all. Kind of, if you thought Nagash was being written out of the picture, guess again. I don't think he's going to have as big a part to play going forward. Lore-wise, leave the model alone.
Yeah.
But lore-wise, I think he's going to be... It's time to let some of the sub-factions grow a little bit without his influence. So I think we're going to see that. Then the next epilogue is Kragnos. We don't really see what happens to him, but we do get this flash to what we now know are the Cruel Boys.
Yep.
And them finding an ancient mural, really ancient mural of Kragnos, and they start calling him the Beast.
Yeah, they actually see him off in the distance, right?
Yeah.
When the scouts does, and like it's him.
It's him.
the Beast.
He's back.
Yeah.
And so there's great rejoicing. And it's like, ooh, enter Cruel Boys. We got 2 weeks and then we'll see what they do.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, that one was a really neat little epilogue there. It's him, the boss, said the sentry, his eyes alight with glee. It's the beast. So yeah, they're jazzed. They're going to be a thing, and hey, it's a new faction for AOS. I am completely down.
Right. I like how it's new, but it's also part of the Orc War Clans, right? They very clearly stated that in all the previews and stuff. It's so fun. Like another part of Destruction we haven't worked with, and they're definitely more the sneaky, backstabby type.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be so cool. And then, of course,
Oh god.
as we started, so must we end
Oh god.
with Marathi's epilogue. And I have to say, character-wise, throughout the entire Broken Realms, the winner is clearly Marathi.
She is the biggest winner in these 5 books by leaps and bounds.
She's awesome.
She's incredibly well written. Mm-hmm. She is totally developed as a thing now, a god.
Yeah.
You can see her motivations. You can see I want to read a quote real quick.
Yeah.
So basically what's happening here is, this is the final scene of the whole 5-book thing. She enters Sigmaron and she wants to talk to Sigmar. She wants to parley with the God King. However, he won't meet her. He sends the Celestin Prime. And the Celestin Prime kind of rocks up. She's like, okay, let us begin. The Prime says, and I quote, "You are accused of treason against the God King, Sigmar," intoned the Celestin Prime. "This you know." At which point, not quoting anymore, she just laughs. "Treason, is it?" she says, or laughed, "as if I were one of the Heldenhammer's mud-spattered subjects. No, dear Mask, I have committed no treason." And it's just, in that one line, you're like, first of all, don't ever talk to me like that again, or I will. And second of all, tell your boss that I'm not one of his little bitches. Okay?
Exactly.
And I'm just like, okay, that encapsulates the whole thing. And she basically goes on to say that, look, this is not treason. I'm a god.
Yeah.
I have a right to do these things. And he does not sit there and tell me what I can and cannot do. If he wants to be friends, we can be friends. We don't have to fight. But please don't have him think I'm one of his little heel lickers.
Yeah, that's the one line. So when Celestin Prime says, "Do you admit to the theft of Anvilgard?" "I am a goddess, you gilded fool. I do as I please."
Exactly. And, this whole thing is, again, Sigmar's clown shoes.
Mm-hmm.
You send your Celestin Prime, who is a Stormcast, so dumb as a rock, to treat with a god who is capable of talking other gods out of the souls that they need to survive. Mm-hmm. But you're going to send a Celestin Prime to treat with her. You're an idiot.
Right.
So, tensions just rise. And she is like, this thing is goading her. And she is just like, are you not hearing me? I'm a god. And so a fight's about to break out. But then one more figure joins the conversation.
And
boy.
Ragni walks in. I like this line so much. "And so," said the Celestin Prime, "there can be only one course. I," came a booming voice, filling the hole. "I, Latin, it's clemency." And so you have a white-bearded dwarf storm in. The description of him, like, when he steps, it carries the weight of aeons.
Yeah.
Right? So I just imagine this massive, massive Dwarden.
Yes.
Right? Like, literally, like, shaking the halls as he walks in.
Because he built them.
Yeah. He's saying, like, all right, this is done. Right? Let's move on. We need to work together.
And that's just it. He's the only one that actually sees that there is a bigger picture here. Marathi, I think he understands Marathi came here with good intentions, or at least decent intentions. Whereas Clown Shoes sends, his butler to go talk to a goddess. He's like, we got to put an end to this. No more killing today. We have a bigger fight ahead of us. Yep. So, yeah, and that's the way it ends. And honestly, I'm going to say it right here, right now. In 40K, you had the Psychic Awakening series, 9 books, and honestly, some of the best, heaviest hitters in the 40K world writing those stories bringing those updates. And honestly, by the time we got to like book 5, it was starting to drag on a little bit. And it was obvious that these are just ways to get new rules out there quickly. Mm-hmm. In AOS, we had 5 books. Every story was,
4 books.
4 books.
4 Broken Realms.
Marathi, Teclis,
Be'lakor, and Kragnos.
Yeah, that's what I said. 4 books. Wow. Where did I get that extra one from?
The new rulebook coming out?
Oh, I keep lumping Wrath of the Everchosen in.
Oh,
that's
okay.
what I do. Yeah.
I mean,
I always think of that as the prologue to all of this.
that's a very fair assessment.
Yeah. Maybe. I don't know. It's kind of, it has to do with the way they announced it. It just sticks in my head as that's one of them. But anyway, we had these 4 books. The story writing in each one of them was on the level of any decent novel or, short story that you would actually pay money for. Mm-hmm. If it was separate from, I mean, honestly, they could take the lore sections of these 4 books. You bind them together in one book and I'll buy it. I will buy it. So, and we don't have to worry about the rules section because that's coming out in a couple of weeks. So, but I mean, it's consistent. They hit all the factions that needed to be lifted up a bit. I mean, there's a miss here and there, but by and large, they've done a lot of corrections, told an amazingly good story in 4 books.
Yeah.
So I am super impressed with Phil Kelly and the guys that pulled together all these lore sections and, kind of charted that course. Brilliant, guys. Absolutely brilliant. Love it. Absolutely love it. And I know I kind of downplayed this story because, again, it's a straightforward short story. It goes from point A to point B, and there's no deviation. There's no crazy unforeseen outcomes. Nobody saw Marathi becoming a god except everybody saw it, but you had to read it to really get it. This story was more along the lines of, we have to introduce a god of destruction, and this is how we're going to do it. And we're not going to have some weird, crazy, ultra planning god of destruction. No, we're going to have a bull that goes right through the china shop.
Yep.
And so it's good. It's just don't read this and expect something like Teclis or Marathi. You're not going to get it.
And the one thing that's still hanging out there for me at the end of it is just, we never go back to the Sylvaneth. They're just there at the very beginning, sort of like the ignition, for Kragnos.
Yep.
But the consequences of what Alariel is doing, that needs to be explored, right? It's not just, I woke up the god of destruction and he got out, right? But, the Oak of Ages is back, and it's all of her Warsong revenants and everything calling out to the other realms, and how the roots seem to be, planting themselves. What all does this mean,
I think it means that Battletome Sylvaneth is one of the initial books we're going to see after AOS 3.0 drops. I between the way she starts the whole thing and then is completely forgotten, as well as the new rules and all that stuff, I think it points to, and Sylvaneth I know they just got a book not too long ago, but it kind of didn't do what they thought it was going to do.
Yeah.
Didn't really fix them all that well. And we know there's a lot of books that need redoing. I think Korn needs to come out with a new book.
Oh God, yes.
But I think Sylvaneth do a new sort of enlivening. And one thing I will say, it's a very good portrayal of Alariel to start all these events in motion and then basically ignore the ramifications. She does not care. She doesn't care that Excelsis is wiped out. Life has taken root in Gur, and she's good with that.
Yeah.
She's good with Gyrin, and she's good with all of the effects of the right of life. And, she doesn't even get a call out in the epilogue.
Nope.
So, yeah, to me, she's just like, yeah, these are bad things. These are world meta-changing things, but I don't care. My part is now done, and this is what I do. I am restoring life where it needs to be. Y'all can figure out how the pieces fall down. I don't care. So I kind of like that, and I'm hoping it means that sooner or later we get an expansion of that story.
Oh yeah.
And perhaps we will see another, I wouldn't even hate to see like a box come out for either, I don't know, Beast of Chaos versus Sylvaneth, or even if you stick to the old trope of Nurgle versus Sylvaneth, I'm good with it. So, all right, so let's get into the rules section.
Okay.
There's 8 factions that get touched in this book, and some of them are touched in really good ways, and some of them are touched in bad places.
Yeah. Some of them had to call for an adult.
Yeah. So first up, you had the Realm of Battle for Gur.
Mm-hmm.
The Coast of Tusks. Again, meh. It's very cool. It's another Realm of Battle you can use. The Realmscape feature is you can add 1 to the move characteristics and 1 to the bravery characteristics of all destruction units. In addition, if you have Auric War Clan's Big Wa army, you receive an extra D6 Wa points at the start of your first hero phase. That's really big. If you're sort of Wa dependent.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah.
So honestly, any intelligent player is not going to let you play with the realm.
What do you mean you guys don't want to let me pay Big Wah?
Yeah. How about we dice for it? So
the part with the Wild Charybdis is really fun though. That's what I like about Gur. Is just the roaming monsters and stuff. This is one way to have a Wild Charybdis just pop up and start causing chaos.
And, honestly, it kind of gives players the green light to use those Warcry monsters as your wandering Gur monsters. Go for it. I mean, here's rules for it. Here's a way to interject that. It's really cool.
Yep.
So then they go back into Streets of Death again. So I guess they have to reprint that in every one. And then they go through the campaign game again. Same criticism of the campaign. If you have the stuff available, it might be fun to play. I mean, I don't want to say, I shouldn't say might. It would be a blast to play.
Oh, yeah.
But again, you're going to have either an incredibly huge collection of Warhams or, a club or group of people that you can meet up with. In terms of the rules, first up might be the guy that's on the front cover.
Yeah.
Not sure.
Yeah. I'm surprised they put him first, right?
Yeah, it was I would have saved him for last.
So Kragnos, I mean, his War
Dumpster
Scroll's
fire?
been out forever, so everyone knows what he does. So we're just going to give our take on him.
Yeah.
So personally, I think he's written very much like he is in the story, where what he does is like he's a singular force.
Yes.
Right? He is not anyone's leader. They just happen to follow him. Right?
Yep.
And so that's why I think, at least as he's written now, he doesn't just outright benefit others. I suspect what's going to happen is that it'll be written into any of the destruction books that if he does have an effect on them, this is what it is, right? So it's not that on his War Scroll he benefits others. It would be that they benefit because he's nearby.
It could become a very cluttered War Scroll if he leads Beastclaw Raiders, he does this. If he leads Ironjaws, Whereas you can say in the Cruel Boys book, and keep in mind that it says Kragnos, if he's in your army, he is also a general. Also, not he is. He's in addition. And so they could have something in the Cruel Boys book that says, if Kragnos is a general in your army, you receive the following benefits. And they may just put that out for Ironjaws and Greenskins, listen to me. War clans. They could put it out for Auric War tribes and just give him a little something that he does.
Yeah.
But as he stands right now, I maintain he's hot garbage.
He does what he does, right?
Yes.
You point him, he's going to delete whatever he touches.
That's right.
Generally speaking. As you point out, Bill, the challenge is going to be like making sure you clear the screens before he gets there.
Yeah.
Right? So that way he can actually go do something meaningful. If he runs into a monster, he has a very high likelihood of just deleting it. Maybe just even on the charge, right, with his mortal wound output, but certainly when he just starts smashing them down. So, I mean, he's also pretty much immune to magic. I mean, almost completely immune on 3d6.
Yeah, he's a god.
Yeah.
And he is capable of acting like a god on the battlefield. Mm-hmm. He could probably delete any other god on the battlefield. The problem is you'll never get him to that other god. And he has exactly 0 ways to clear screens. he has exactly 0 ways to avoid 10 skinks or 10 ghouls or 10 insert 40-point model here. He has no way to disengage. He has no free leave combat and charge same turn. He has nothing that will allow him to get out of a combat that he does not want to be in. It does kind of follow his lore that he doesn't care what the combat is. He's just going to slice through stuff. But for 760 points, I would give the nod to Alariel first. I would take her before him.
Yeah.
He certainly, he probably has the highest damage output of anything in the game.
Mm-hmm.
But I would still put Archeon up against him and say, oh, come on, let's go. And I mean, that would be interesting to math hammer out. It's him and Archeon. But I mean, to me, it's just, he is 760 points of beef that does what all the other expensive beef does in a destruction army. Is he worth deleting 3 units of 10 skinks and maybe toward the end of the game, one of your heroes?
If he doesn't die, just shoot him.
Yeah, if he doesn't get shot off the board. So I don't think he's worth it. I think he's hot garbage.
I think, well, he's certainly pointed for the whole stuff in 3.0 where he's a hero and a monster. And so he can benefit from the hero abilities as well as the monster abilities when he would charge in. Like his finest hour makes him do insane amounts of damage.
Yeah.
If he's charging another monster, he can get +1 to hit for, the Titanic battle, right? So there's just a lot that he is likely going to be able to do because of AOS 3.0, and that's why he's pointed that way.
Yeah. He is amazingly good at what he does. Mm-hmm. Not going to take that away from him at all. I think maybe if you had simply added one thing or another that said basically if he deletes a unit before the combat phase or before that unit fights, then he can pile in again. Something like that to where he can negate screens.
Isn't that what Gordrak does?
Yeah, or some form of that.
Yeah.
To where he doesn't just get locked in combat with, honestly, if I know I'm fighting this guy, I'm sacrificing my 80-point unit of battle line every turn. I don't care if I can bring him back or not.
Yeah.
I will just get him into combat as quickly as I can and just be done with those units because that's a good trade. If I lose, 320 points of battle line to your 760-point beat stick, okay, great. And then, let's say he does get to an objective toward the end of the game. Okay, so he's standing on an objective. He's awesome. Beautiful. Nothing wrong with the model or the war scroll other than the fact that he can't be godlike on the battlefield.
So then after Kragnos, it moves to the Gloomspite Gits. And this is really just them centralizing all of the stuff that had been spread around the White Dwarfs.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's nothing new in here.
Nope.
So we've all seen this before. Same stuff. Same fun stuff.
There's a really good update to the Bad Moon Loon Shrine. It really does, and I don't think that was seen before, was it?
I thought that was mentioned before because it was like depending on what your boss was, that determines, your general is, that determines what comes out of the shrine. I thought that was in stuff from before.
Okay, it might have been. I thought...
I couldn't find my old White Dwarf when I was looking through it, but I seem to remember this. Either way, just to go over it, so if you've got a grot leader who's not on a squig, then your grots come back, right? From the Loon Shrine. If you are a squiggy boss, then squigs come back. If you're a trog boss, trogs come back. And it just does all that, on your dice rolls.
What it kind of does is it makes Gloomspite, your general basic has to be appropriate to the unit you're bringing.
Yeah.
So you can't mix and match as much as you used to, which is kind of good, kind of bad. It makes the army more themey, but it's going to cause some people to have to rewrite lists. But then again, 3.0 is going to have you completely rewriting your list, so don't worry about it.
Well, before it was only the shooters and the stabbers that could ever come back.
Right.
And so this gives you more flexibility.
Yeah. Yeah, and also in this section from White Dwarf, 455, they bring up the Jaws of Mork. Mm-hmm. From 457, they bring up Glog's Megamob. And then from 459, they bring up Grimscuttle.
Yep.
it just basically means you don't have to carry all the white dwarfs with you if you want to be running those things. So, yeah, it's kind of a nice little wrap up to pull everything into one section and kind of eliminate a loophole in how the armies were being built.
Yep.
So, yay, Gloomspite.
So and after that, we get to Sylvaneth, who had some much needed changes.
Oh, 1 or 6.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alariel got better,
Wow,
but then
did she
went
get
up
better?
in points.
Yeah, that's what kills me. She got better to the point to where at her 600 points, I was like, oh, she is totally justified now. She is in that same realm with the other 600-point characters. Yeah, that's the way to go. Perfect. And you flip to the back and find out she went up 140. And you're like, what? So stay on the shelf, baby.
Yeah, it's. I still think you could take her. I really do. I think that she gets work done. There's a lot of real estate she takes up.
Yeah.
There's going to be real choices to make when you're trying to do a competitive composition that likely does not involve her. She's definitely going to be relegated to your more fun games.
Yeah.
Right. Whereas the Warsong Revenant, we'll jump to that in just a second, is probably an auto include in every
for sure.
Sylvaneth army.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff going for Alariel, not just that, well, her heal got better.
Well, her ranged attack went to 24 inches flat.
Yeah. True.
So thank God for that not declining anymore. And also, it's going to the damage is a fixed number that declines as you take damage. Obviously, it's a table.
Yeah.
But you're not going to get that weird variance where at full strength you're doing 1 damage. Again, super good change for her ranged attack. The Talon of Dwindling is a little weird. Once it hits on a 1 to 5, the wound is negated. On a 6, the model is slain. 1 in 6 chance to just flat out kill, but no other damage.
I mean, so what if it did the 1 damage? I mean, like that might have killed the thing you were hitting.
Sure.
But
Yeah,
it's just 1 damage.
you're
it's,
fishing for 6s.
Yeah, exactly.
So
You're just hoping for that insta kill, which, it'd just be like with Archaon, right? In fact, I think it's probably better than Archaon if you don't have the dice.
yeah, because his you have to roll on 2d6, right?
Yeah. You have to hit 2 6s on your wounds.
Yeah.
Auto slay.
Yeah, so for her, it's
It's whatever.
It's that strange chance, and when it goes off, it's going to be woohoo! Look at me,
Right.
And when it doesn't, you're like, okay, yeah, I didn't expect it to.
Right,
So,
right. When it goes off, though, it's going to be on like a unit of like 3 grots or something. You're like, geez.
Yep.
Like I said, her heal got better. She 2d6 to herself now,
Oh my God.
and which is so great because she degrades quickly,
Yep.
but she heals quickly.
She is going to be bouncing around. If you're running Alariel, you need to get one of my pain trains, one of my little wound marker things, because she's going to be bouncing wounds back and forth. 1 turn, she's going to be all the way down to 1, and then she's going to heal 2d6. And, to me, I think it's really super thematic, too. It's
Oh yeah,
to the way she would be. She gets hit, she plants her feet into the ground, she gets better.
and so does everything within 30 inches.
Yeah, 30 freaking inches, D3 wounds. Oh my God. Baby, you are. I take you on a date.
And her summoning is great. You only get 1 of the units. I mean, that was the same thing it was before.
Yeah.
But then when you're looking at her points, factor in what it is that you're summoning to, right?
Well, and that's that is a good point and something I probably should have paid more attention to. She went up by 140 points. She's probably going to summon in at least that much on an average game.
Yeah.
At the very least that much. So, yeah, okay. I'm coming around. I like her.
I think you probably end up bringing the Kurnothi Hunters most times, but the flexibility to summon any of it,
Yeah.
you just have whatever it is in your box.
And this thing, you're going up against Kragnos, you're going to bring in, what's his name's?
Dryads.
Dryads.
Yeah.
To just get in his way. And, yeah, I mean, you have super flexible options now, and I think that's a big plus for her. I'm taking her out of the hot garbage pile.
Are
The
you?
more we speak, yes.
Okay.
I am,
Okay.
because Living Battering Ram is one of those things that got one hell of a boost. Instead of a 4-up, it hits now on a D3, does D6 on a 6.
Yep.
Yeah, if you roll a 6, it does D6 wounds. So that's really good. And she also now has the ability to fall back and charge. So when you couple those two together, And you look at how the AOS 3.0 is written, as she is falling back and charging again, it's a monster. You're going to be, oh my gosh, if you pick her to be your one monster to do big wounds, which in Sylvaneth, you don't have a lot of choices for monsters. You have the Tree Lords
And you have her.
and her. So chances are she'll get the nod if you're putting all those points into her. And that her and that beetle can do some damage.
Well, with the whole retreat and shoot as well.
Oh my
so
gosh.
she can pull back, snipe a hero off the board, charge back into something else, and just lay it flat, right? So she's got a lot more tactical flexibility, and her Spear of Kragnos just 2s and 2s.
Yeah.
My God.
Yeah.
Like, she's probably going to hit what she's going to hit and kill the thing. If you have a situation where someone's like -1 to hit for like, look out, sir, if that still remains the same, right? Is all out attack.
Yeah.
Oh, now I'm +1 hit.
Yeah. Flip that around, baby. All right, so after this show, I'm running down to pick up Illyrio. No, I'm kidding.
Hey, no, I said, I think it was, 2 shows ago, where I was like, give me a reason to finish putting her together and put paint on her, and they did it.
They really did. I will take it back. She is not hot garbage. She is really good.
Now, she's a 3 caster.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
She knows the entire spell lore
Again,
on her war scroll.
putting her in the realm of the other gods.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yep.
Metamorphosis is always so funny, dude. When you just like snipe a hero, it's a tree. You're like, wow.
Hey, it's not fair.
That's not fun.
Yes, it is. If you're me, it is.
Her command ability, solid.
Yep. She's okay. I put her right back in the points might have gone up, but that summoning thing is something I didn't even think about really. That's where the points went.
Yeah.
She's going to be summoning in at least that many points.
I mean, she summoned that stuff in before, but I think with the benefits that she got, I think it balanced out.
Yeah, but she got way more beefy, and the ability to be doing 2d6 heal on yourself. She is you have to kill her flat out one round.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, obviously doable by a lot of things, but if you miss it, she's coming back and hell's coming with her.
Especially
speaking of hell,
right? The War Song Revenant.
Oh.
I mean, this is something that I thought was missing from Sylvaneth, what we get with this model in particular. So 8-inch move. It can fly. 5 up save.
Tree.
Okay. 5 up save, whatever.
But the 4 up feeling the pain.
Yeah. I mean, that's a big thing.
Yeah.
You have a 2 spell caster with a 4 up feel no pain that flies, 8-inch move, 7 wounds, innately 1-2 casting, dispelling, and unbinding within 9 inches of an awakened wildwoods.
Oh, that's going to be really hard to arrange. Oh, wait, no, it's not.
Right? Then +1, -1, +1 bravery to Sylvaneth, -1 to enemies. I mean, this thing is amazing.
Are we going back to bravery bombs? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Especially because you can only use the bravery command ability on 1 unit now. They announced that.
Yes.
So, it's time to start hitting hard. I think Night Hunt's going to have a lot of fun with that.
You mean Sylvaneth?
No, Night Hunt. Oh my God, Night Hunt's gonna love it. But yeah, so she has a great spell on her scroll. She also knows the entire lore of the Deepwood.
Right.
Right.
But her own spell.
Unleash Swarm of Spites, casting value of 7. If you cast successfully, roll a number of dice equal to the casting roll. It's important. It says the casting roll, not the unmodified, casting value. Right. For each enemy unit within 9 inches, and for each 5+, they suffer 1 mortal wound. So you're already going to be trying to keep her near the woods. There's the Sylvaneth spell where you get +1 to cast.
Yes.
Right? And I think you can also get an artifact or a command trait that gives you an additional cast, right?
Think so, yeah.
So you can sink 1 into the buff, so you get +2 there. There's probably going to be another way to buff it. So you're looking at, 2 to 3 extra on your casting roll for this character. So the 7's not going to be hard to hit. Probably going to be normally hitting it on a 5, right? If you only have the +1 outside the Wildwood.
Right.
And then you roll 7 dice for each enemy unit. And it's not wholly within. It's not wholly within. It's just within.
Oh, boy.
I think this...
that got good.
Yeah, it got real good.
That got really good.
Her melee attack actually has a 3-inch range too. So if you're screening properly... she can be just behind a row of dryads or something like that and just start picking at them.
Nice.
Because you're baiting them in to try and do mortal wounds.
Well, yeah, of course.
And then they updated the Awakened Wildwood. Thank God.
Oh, now this is going to, I think, really change how Sylvaneth players can play the game and make it not such a bummer for everyone else. Really good changes here.
Yeah, so before, when they released that new kit for the Wildwoods,
Yes.
they look so cool.
Right.
Like, this is awesome.
And it's a great form factor.
Oh, yeah. And then you start reading and realize, so when I summon it, I have to set all 3 of them up, and they all have to be, tips touching.
Basically in this little circle.
Exactly. But 6 inches away from other terrain and objectives.
And you're not going to get that.
No. So they changed it to where it's 3 inches. Awesome. 3 inches from objectives, 3 inches from other terrain.
Who knew?
But you can set up 1, 2, 3 scenery pieces.
Oh my God.
The caveat being that if you set up more than 1, they do have to essentially form that circle, right? Okay. Great.
But 1 still activates all the bonuses.
Exactly.
On that note, the Wildwoods lost the thing where if you cast a spell within an inch of it, you take a damage. Or what? It was something like that, wasn't it?
Oh, when you would awaken them?
Yeah, it doesn't deal damage to wizards casting spells near them. They dropped it because obviously you can place a lot more of them.
Well, I think that's a spell you can activate them. I think you can activate them still based off of the lore of the Deepwood. Well, I'll have to go back and pull that. Right?
Yeah, I'd have to look at that old war scroll.
But they still have, if you end a charge. Yeah, if you end a charge next to the Awakened Wildwood, or at the end of the charge phase, you don't even have to end a charge, right?
No, at the end of the charge phase.
If you're with 1 inch and you're not Sylvaneth, roll a dice on a 6. They take D3 mortal wounds, so it's kind of nice. And then if there's spell or a wizard within 6 inches, endless spell or wizard within 6 inches, then you get to add 2 to the dice. So that's great.
So it's becoming less and less of a, oh my God, I hate playing Sylvaneth because of the Wildwoods. And it's getting back into the realm of, these are our terrain pieces. We just get more of them.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And, under the 3.0 rules, it looks like there's a lot more opportunities to destroy terrain. So even happy faction-oriented terrain.
Oh, yeah.
So all of you that thought Severeth was the thing to be hated and that Lumineth were the icky, well, get over it because now everybody can do it.
Yep.
Overall, Sylvaneth, I think, got a pretty decent size boost. I won't say made them top table material, but I think you can go to an event or you can go to a store thing and you can play your Sylvaneth knowing that it won't be such a bad experience anymore. It's going to be fun.
I could see in the hands of a skilled player going 4-1 or 5-0. 5-0 if it's a perfect build.
Yeah,
right?
and you draw the right opponent at the end. So, yeah.
It could
You
happen.
could do it. Skilled player can do anything.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Before we moved from Sylvaneth, there was Drycha's Spike Grove,
oh, yes.
the War Scroll Battalion. So, looks like that's going away in the new edition because you can only use your core battalions in match play. But if you're playing, for fun, you take Drycha and 2 Spite Revenant units and you get -1 to your rent.
Yeah, hello.
Okay.
Does that hurt? No one ever said. Yeah. So, overall, goody.
Then chumps on the battlefield, both in writing and on the actual tabletop. Dexessa and Sinessa, man, they just gorgeous models.
For as beautiful as the model is, to have rolls come out that are so meh.
Right?
Wow. Okay, whatever.
Like Dexessa, I'm just not going to count all the ways that she's bad, but she's at 10 wounds with a 4-up save. Like 10 wounds puts her just over Lookout Sir material.
Right.
And puts her so that way, terrain doesn't block line of sight to her.
Yeah.
And then her really only good ability is you don't have to spend a command point once per turn.
Yeah,
right?
you can issue a command to a friendly Slanesh demon unit without a command point being spent.
And it's only demons.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Totally line me up to get one of her later.
Much later. I'd love to paint one, but
Yeah, they are beautiful, beautiful models. It's almost depressing to see the two of them be so meh.
right?
I just Sinessa is the wizarding part of the whole thing. And yeah, so she's a lot more command oriented. So Staff of Slanesh does automatic mortal wounds. Yeah, okay. She's almost a better beat stick fighter than her sister or her other half. I think her damage output might actually be better with her spells. She is a one cast, one unbind, so not really hot in the wizarding department. Whispers of Doubt is casting value 6. Pick one enemy hero within 3 inches of the caster and visible to them. So she's got to be up front. Within 3 inches, roll 3d6. If it's greater than the hero's bravery, add 1 to hit rolls for attacks that target that hero. That's her spell.
Yeah.
So she's got to be right up there in the middle of combat. When she's not really, she's a 9 wound. So she does get look out, sir.
And she can hide behind terrain.
And she can hide, but you have to put her out in order to do that spell. It's within 3 inches. So basically, she's got to be planning to get in there and be the one that, or you can have the two of them on the battlefield and set the spell up for her sister to go in and do the melee beat stick stuff. But overall, super meh.
Well, don't forget her ability, the Voice of Slanesh, does let her get to cast her Whispers of Doubt anywhere.
Yes.
As long as they're visible. So she can scream very loudly or whisper very far.
It's true.
At someone. I think she's the better one.
She is. I think overall she's the one I would take over.
What gets me is just their points cost. Like, you see these and you think, like, they've got to be like souped up keepers of secrets.
Yeah.
Right? Like, or keeper of secrets with different abilities in a way.
Yep.
But then, I mean, their base size is different, and then they're just not to anything. Like 10 wounds on Dexessa is almost like insulting. Like, she should be 14 at least.
Yeah.
You know?
If you're going to go over the top and not let me have cover, not let me have look out, sir, you've got to give me something that I can be survivable. And at 10 wounds, she's literally right there on that cusp of just die.
Yeah.
Just freaking die.
And a 4-up save.
You know?
Like, she's going to melt to something like Sentinels from Lumineth.
Light of Eltharin's going to go in and whoop her to death. I mean, you know, it's just there's so many things that are going to one-shot her.
Yeah, anytime. And she has to be in combat in order to keep getting more attacks, right?
Yeah.
She has to be in combat and survive, and then to the next round, and then she gets +1 attack.
Well, luckily she's Slanesh, so she's going to have real good options about going first in combat.
Oh, yeah.
So, you know, she's going to have that going for her. But still, even with all that, I can't see a great reason to take her. Now, Sinessa has a lot more utility, I think. And she's also 20 points cheaper. I think she's, what, 240?
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I guess there's a case to be made for taking both of them, and I don't see it. But
I don't either. And they don't even have, like, synergy together.
Yeah.
Like you think they would.
Yeah, they're twins.
Yeah.
But they don't work together well.
They're too expensive.
Yeah.
They're too expensive. 500 points for both of these things to not really do much. I mean, the essentially 10 free command points if you keep Dexessa alive.
Yeah.
That's nice.
But they're not going to hold a quarter of the battlefield for you.
No.
So, well.
You got the Exquisite Pursuit. This was Luxion and Vresca. I know we just went completely over them. Like, we didn't even talk about them really in the lore. But this is their battalion. It's one contorted epitome, 1 unit of fiends, 1 seekers. Again, as we talked about last time, just one of the worst boxes you could sell. You get the Mirror of Twisted Truths. In your shooting phase, you can either pick 1 enemy unit that is within 3 inches of Luxion and Vresca, or pick 1 enemy unit that's within 12 inches of the Luxion and Vresca and more than 3 inches away from any other units in your army. Roll a dice for each model in that unit. If the unit has a wounds characteristic of 1 for each 6, the unit suffers 1 mortal wound. If that unit has a wounds characteristic of more than 1 for each 6, the unit suffers D3 mortal wounds. So it's just really complicated, complex, not...
It's worded really hard because that's the way it has to be, but it boils down to, if it's a 1 wound model, 6s do mortals. If it's more than 1 wound model, 6s do D3, which could actually be like really bad for like crypt flares or crypt horrors. I mean, it could be really destabilizing for, you know, a whole bunch of the Beast Claw Raider, Morn Fang packs. It could have Piggy Boys for the orcs. It could be really devastating for a big unit like that. So, it's a good battalion. If you're taking those units anyway, there's no point in not grabbing the extra points for that opportunity to just, maybe just mortal wound a bunch of stuff into the ground.
I mean, spoiler alert, though, you're not taking those units usually.
I was trying to put a happy face on it, but
it's the fiends that really kind of kill that.
yeah.
Some people still take some Seekers just for some quick objective grabbing, but I think the mortal stuff in Slaanesh is better. Like the Slick Blades are just gross.
Infinitely better.
Gross. So yeah, that's Slaanesh. Just they keep bringing the disappointment.
Yeah, it's kind of weird that I don't know. Maybe it's not weird, but
Then we have Excelsis.
oh god, so freaking annoying! Another free city.
How many cities are there?
You got what? Seeker's Gain. You got Excelsis now. Then I think each book has gotten a city, hasn't it, or something? Well, no, Hagnar, we lost one. Sorry, I ripped that Band-Aid off too soon.
Excelsis is interesting.
It's a really good. I think it's the best city so far.
Out of the ones that not in the core book.
Yeah.
It's fun. Gift of Prophecy is great, unless you hit a 1.
Yeah. Okay. Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that would suck to roll the 1.
You roll a 1. If you roll a 1 when you have Gift of Prophecy, you basically subtract 1 to hit. On a 2-up, you add 1. So Prophecy can be a double-edged sword. And in this case, it's a 16.7% sword. So, there's going to be times you're going to roll that 1 and you're going to be -1 to hit. But most of the time, you're going to be +1 to hit. That's not bad. Not bad. The Riposte command ability, you can pick an Excelsis unit within 12 inch of a hero. And for any 6s roll to save in the combat phase, the attacking unit takes a mortal wound. So a little reflectivity there. So
It's not bad.
Not bad at all.
Command traits. Cunning Foe's really good. Darkest Secrets can be brutal.
Yes. That's really horrifying, especially in this new edition.
Yeah.
Where you're seeing where more heroes are going to be doing more things with command points to be able to turn that off. Basically, Darkest Secrets lets you stop a hero from using command abilities if you're within 3 inches of them. So it's very situational, but when it works, it is flippin' brilliant. Especially if you can see the other guy is setting up a big multi-prong, I have to have this and this and this in place.
Yep.
I'm looking at you, Lumineth. And boom, all of a sudden you just go out there and turn that whole attack off for a turn. That could be really big.
Now for artifacts, Glimmering. Interesting. It's once per battle, though.
Oh, yay, once per battle. Okay, yeah, that's fine.
And then you get to just essentially choose the value on a roll.
Yes. Which is amazingly good.
It is. It is.
One-
And that's
and
why it's once per
Once per
battle.
game. Yeah, it's fair.
Then yeah, the rock jaws. That's just 8 inches, 3-up, D3 mortal wounds to something in the
Yeah.
shooting phase. Meh. Yeah. At least it's not once per turn, once per battle.
Right, it's everybody.
Griff Feather Charm, I think, is the winner.
I take it.
Subtract 1 from hit rolls for attacks, not just melee.
Right.
Attacks.
2
and you
hit
get
rolls, targeting the bearer.
1 to your bear's move characteristic.
Yes.
Awesome.
Oh, boy. It's going to make heroes hard to kill. Hey, what about that hot spell lore?
Cower's okay.
Really?
It's all right.
Okay.
Casting value of 6. Pick one monster within 12 inches. Roll 2d6. If it's higher than the monster's bravery, the monster cannot make a charge move in your opponent's next turn.
Okay. Too many if this, if that, if this.
I mean, it's better than like Amber Spear, which can just throw mortal wounds through your own units. Or
Yay!
Flock of Doom. Ugh, nope.
No, not at all. I mean, the overall, I think Excelsis is a really good city to come from. There's a lot of upside to being from here. And, you're not locked into those spells.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, there's a lot of reasons to come from Excelsis. And it synergizes really well with a lot of builds. So, it's kind of cool.
Then we have Duralia and Galen.
Agents of Azir.
I love these guys.
Oh, my gosh.
They're
They're
good.
so good.
They're so good. Like we talked about earlier, I think Duralia shines. So they both have the weapons of banishment, which I think in terms of weapons of banishment, Galen's better because he gets 3 shots with his pistol.
Yes.
And so if you're trying to shoot down an endless spell, which sounds weird, but you can do it, you could shoot an endless spell away.
Yeah.
Right?
Huge.
So cool. So
Just
cool.
think if you get shackled.
Oh, right?
Thank you. Bye.
It's so fun and thematic, when you think about it, right?
Yep.
That they have these. Well, the thing is, they don't even have special weapons, right? Like, it's literally Duralia has crossbow. Galen has pistol.
Yeah. They're not named. They're not freaky. So, yeah, it's just baked into those characters. And, they are some demon hunters.
Oh, yeah. Sure shot from Duralia is bonkers. Oh, they both have a 5-up feel no pain. 5-up ward save, I think is going to be the terminology we use in AOS 3.
Let's get that right.
Sure shot, if she doesn't move, +1 attack, +1 to hit with her crossbow.
Yeah, which is, granted, it's only 1 attack, but doubling that to 2 is always good. She's on a 3-up. It's Ren 2 damage. That's a beefy little crossbow for a kind of a baby hero. So how much does she cost?
115.
115? It's not undoable for a city's army.
But if she targets a wizard or a demon, she does double damage.
Oh my, look at her go.
Yeah.
4 damage. And
that's how she killed Sinessa.
couple that with 2 attacks. Now you're looking at 8 damage. So that is a significant number of damage points. That takes down a Celestin Prime. Well, Stiff Wind takes down a Celestin Prime, but
if he ever shows up to the party.
That's true. If they ever show up, usually get lost on the way.
Right.
But and Galen doesn't have as many pluses, but in melee with his broadsword, he is a freaking beast. 6 attacks, 3-up, Ren 1 damage. So that's a pretty good. That's 6 attacks. I'll take that at Ren 1.
And again, weapons of banishment.
It is
goes against a wizard or a demon. Yep.
Double damage.
So potential of 12 damage, but average is going to be like, what is it, 6 to 7?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not bad.
He does have agile opponents, so he can retreat and still shoot
or charge
in the same phase. So luckily she doesn't have that, because that would be bloody brutal.
Well, I think that if you look at that compared to the two, that really played out in one of the scenes in the book where Duralia got up in a crow's nest, and Galen was preventing the rats from getting to her while she was just sniping rats from up top. I think that really kind of plays to that.
Yeah, and I think their rules go directly to their fluff, their lore. So, yeah, they're really cool. They're not super expensive, and they're beautiful models. I can see them getting some play. They're especially for, like you said, sniping out heroes.
Yeah,
and getting her into a good position, and then just shooting stuff. Oh yeah.
Well, like living cities, she can come in off the board edge because she's not tied to a city.
Right. Yeah, they are agents of Azir.
Yep.
So they come in on any city.
So she can come off the board and just snipe a hero. It's like, oh, you left that wizard.
Oh, give her gift of prophecy. As long as you don't roll a 1. Oh, wow. I like her. I like them both.
Yeah, they're fun. I'd take her over him if I had to pick.
Yeah. And they're not serious. That's what I like, is they're not serious. They're drinkers.
Yeah.
So they're not like, oh, you have to be like totally into Sigmar and stuff. No. They're just like, let's have a beer and kill stuff.
That was crazy, man. Take a few shots. Not just a shot. Shots.
Yes, shots.
Then we move into the bonkers Lord Croak.
Should we save him until the end? Because we got let's save Croak till last. Because he is bonkers, and we need to talk about him. Let's jump into Skaventide.
Skaventide's so fun. Updates to Clan's Molder in terms of the mutations that you get. Got the Hell Pit Abomination with theirs, the big rat ogres, the battle traits that they got, the hidden weapon teams. That's going to be fun.
This just takes a sneaky, crazy, themey Skaven army to the next level. So it's lunatic level. You're hiding your stuff in your units. And that's going to be so rude to the opponent that doesn't see it coming.
Right? It's one weapons team for every 10 clan rats or storm vermin.
Yep.
Oh my God. You just have like 3, warp fire throwers just chilling.
And they're hidden.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're not rolling them out on the field. So somebody's going to rock up to it, charge it, And AOS 3.0 is going to come up, and they're just going to get blown off the table with Overwatch. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, so 2 ways you reveal it, right? So at the start of your shooting phase, you can reveal 1 or more hidden weapon teams.
Yep.
If you do, you have to set them up wholly within 3 inches of the unit it was hiding in, and more than 3 inches away from enemy units. And they can shoot in the turn in which they revealed, so long as the unit they were in did not run.
Right.
Awesome.
Yep.
In addition, at the end of your charge phase, you can reveal 1 or more hidden weapon team units that were hiding in a unit. If you do so, set them up wholly within 3 inches of the unit it was hiding in, and it can be set up within 3 inches of any enemy units and can fight in the following combat phase.
Yes.
And so then they're destroyed when the unit's destroyed if you don't reveal them.
Yeah.
Of course.
Makes
Right?
sense.
Yeah, that's so fun.
It's going to give another dirty trick to the Skaven player.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, it's just pure fun. And honestly, it's one of those things where when you see the clan rats, you have to think in the back of your head, does he have? Oh, no. I do love it. And yeah, there's a the new table for Hell Pit Abominations in there, and big rat ogre tables in here. So obviously these are pick or rolls. So just more options for your, your Hell Pits, rat ogres. It's just a really nice little update for Skaven that's not groundbreaking, but also just makes it more fun for the players. I think both players would enjoy those changes.
Well, I like the one thing that just keeps popping out to me with the rat ogres specifically is the toughened sinews, where they get 6 wounds and a 4-up save instead of being 4 wounds with a 5-up save.
That helps.
Yeah,
just a little bit.
It's pretty all right. They'll stick around for a little bit longer, right? Especially, I think they're battle line and molders. So
Yeah, and so a move charge. Yeah, I'm digging it.
then for their battalion, they get Ratachak's Doom Coven. It's 1 Warlock Bombardier who's Ratachak, Warp Lightning Cannon, 1 Storm Fiends unit. If you got that Skaven, was it Flesh Eater Court box? No, it wasn't. That was Ogres, right?
Yeah.
Skaven.
It was Skaven and
What was it?
oh my god, I have forgotten.
Well,
I keep wanting to
there's-
say Vermintide, but it
There's a Skaven dual box that essentially was this.
yeah, it was
Right?
that
Plus a little something, I actually can't remember what it was. Doom Wheel.
Doom Wheel was in it. Yeah.
So then what you get is Ratachak's more Doom Rocket. So you can re-roll hit rolls of 1 made with Ratachak's Doom Rocket and add 1 to that weapon's damage. Oh boy. In addition, add 1 to the damage characteristic of Shock Gauntlets used by Storm Fiends units in this battalion when it's wholly within 12 inches of Ratachak. But of course, then you can have 1 Shock
Yeah,
Gauntlet.
luckily you can only have 1 unit of Storm Fiends. So otherwise that could get wow.
Yeah, if you could stack Shock Gauntlets. Ooh.
Jesus. That could be bad.
It probably would be pretty fun. I don't know why the laser gun's in there, but okay.
Yeah.
You have to have it here because
Sell more models.
we had to sell the box that we made.
The only problem with that battalion is it comes in at 130 points.
Yeah, it's
So it's a little pricey, but I think overall it's pretty good.
if you want a more powerful Ratachak, I guess.
Yeah.
Then the Butcher Herd. This is going back to
Wow, Beasts of Chaos.
the very beginning, right? You almost forgot about them, didn't
Yeah, you forgot about them.
you? So you get 1 Great Bray Shaman, which is Gorgon Kai, 2 Bulgor units, and 1 Gorgon. We talked about this last week. I was like, hey, 6 Bulgors in 1 box. All right.
Yeah.
If you want to play Bulgors. The abilities, so Gorgon Kai's staff, you get 2 of the attack characteristics. And if the unmodified hit roll with the staff is 6, the attack inflicts D3 mortal wounds on the target and the attack sequence ends. So you're, fishing for 6s on his Wappa staff.
Sure.
Like Wappajack. Pop, pop.
Yep.
Infused with Chaos Energy, add 1 to hit rolls for attacks made by Warherd units in this battalion while they are wholly within 12 inches of Gorgon Kai. So,
Yeah.
Command trait, he is also a general.
Yep.
And he has, if he's your general, he has the Indomitable Beast command trait. My bad, I read that wrong. So then Warpaths of the Beast Herds, Primal Instincts, we have Gore Battle Fury, reroll charge rolls for friendly Gore units. If they were reserve units in ambush and have been set up on the battlefield in the same turn. Unfortunately, Gores are on 32s.
Yeah.
And so they're going to probably suffer pretty badly from coherency and stuff like that.
issues. And yeah. But I don't know. And there's a designer note here that they want to specify the ability only applies to units that have the Gore's keyword.
Gore's War Scroll. It does not apply to the keyword.
Yeah, it does not apply to the keyword.
Yeah.
It's the War Scroll. Sorry. So right there, I was getting it wrong, which is why they wrote it down.
Yep.
So yeah, so okay, meh.
Then your Warherd charge. Whenever the Warherd makes a charge, pick one enemy unit within 1 inch. Roll a dice. Add 2 if the Warherd unit is a hero or has more than 3 models on a 4+ D3 mortal wounds. So essentially get to a 2+ D3 mortals just because you're here.
It's nice. It's impact hits, and it's good for big things.
Then the Raging Storm. This goes for your Thunderscorn units. At the end of each combat phase, you can roll a dice for each friendly Thunderscorn unit that is on the battlefield. Add 2 to the roll if the Thunderscorn unit is a hero or has more than 3 models. On a 4+, you can heal 1 wound allocated. Then roll a dice for each enemy unit within 1 inch of any friendly Thunderscorn units. Add 2 to the roll if any of those Thunderscorn units are heroes or if there are more than 3 Thunderscorn models within 1 inch of that unit. On a 4+, the enemy unit suffers 1 mortal wound. So it's a chance to essentially heal a little bit, hit a little bit, but it's
Yeah, it's kind of a little surge of lightning going across the sky, boofing on the bad guys, helping on the good guys. So it's kind of nice. It's kind of neat. I think overall that's a really neat little. It's nice.
Yeah.
For the Beast Claw. Wow, Beasts of Chaos. It's a nice little change, a nice little addition. Also, 2 new War Scrolls.
Yeah, the Beast Lord didn't seem to get fixed though.
Well, he can run in charge.
Okay.
And I don't care what you say, he can run in charge. So he had just put him in the realm of the rest of, of destruction. That makes a reasonably fast unit. So he's got a base move of 6. So looking at probably average of 3-4 run. And then he can also charge. So you're giving him a lot more threat range. Mm-hmm. I like it, but he does lose his command ability. He just doesn't spend CP for it.
Yeah, I mean, charge in. If you kill any enemy models, you project an aura of +1 to wound.
Yeah.
But you then have to kill a hero or a monster in order to get the +1 to hit.
Yep.
Which I don't know if I'd ever send my Beast Lord in and have him try and attack and kill something before the other unit would try to kill something.
It gives you a reason to do so.
It
I mean,
does.
it's,
But then they're going to be like, cool, so that's the unit gets +1/+1. All right, there you go. Because
You
it's
know.
Beasts of Chaos. They melt to anything.
Sure. They do their thematic. I mean, they're the MacGuffins. So
Jabber Slythies? Nah.
he went to a 4-up save. So, okay. He got a tougher t-shirt. Aura of Madness changed too. Pretty much total rewrite. So Aura of Madness now reads, subtract 1 from casting, dispelling, and unbinding rolls for enemy wizards within 6 inches of any enemy units that have this ability. So, obviously, Jabberslide. In addition, each time an enemy unit within 3 inches of any units in your army with this ability is chosen to fight, roll 3d6. If the roll is greater than that unit's bravery characteristic until the end of the phase, that unit is deranged. You can add 1 to the attack's characteristics of melee weapons used by a weapon that is deranged. However, if the unmodified hit roll for an attack made by a unit that is deranged is 1, it suffers 1 mortal wound. So kind of you just go into some weird battle frenzy, and there's a chance it's going to be bad, but there's a better chance that it's going to be good.
Yeah, it's weird.
It's a little too random for me. I wish they would have just said, pop it on a 2-up.
Yeah, exactly.
Way too many words in there, so could have been made a lot more easy.
Spurting Bile Blood is just
Yeah.
you do wounds to me on a 4+, I do mortal wounds back.
Yep. And yeah, we covered the Butcher Herd.
Yeah.
So that was Beasts.
Which means
So now we get to the reason to buy this book. If you're going to buy this book, just buy page 128. Ask for a discount. Can you just tear the page out? Because this is where Lord Crow comes out and says, oh, you mortals, you're so cute with your thoughts of using magic. Let me show you how it's done.
right. So his Azurite Force Bearer is essentially the same thing, but he's gone to 5-inch move. That's what he was before. He's at a 4+ save,
Yep.
9 bravery, 18 wounds.
Which is important because he used to be low wounds, but he always had ways of either ignoring all wounds done to him or just sloughing them off.
Right, yeah. So like the Saurus Guard they still do.
They
have
still
the
eat, yeah.
2+, they'll take the wound, right? He had a 4-up feel no pain
That's
in his
gone.
most recent incarnation. Totally gone.
Totally gone. Thank
Now,
God.
instead, he's got his dead for innumerable ages has changed to something more like it was before. Right?
Yes.
So in this instance, at the end of every phase, remember, phase, not the end of turn, every phase, you roll 3d6, and then you add the number of wounds or mortal wounds that have been allocated to him. If the sum of that is 20+, he is instantly slain.
Yes.
If it's less than 20, he heals up and you keep going.
Yep.
Bonkers.
It's absolutely 100% nuts.
Yeah. And that's just the beginning because he still has his impeccable foresight. 3 dice for every 4 up. You get an additional command point. Start of your hero phase. Which is going to be really important in the new edition.
3.0.
Yeah. He just sits around with a +2 to casting, spelling, and unbinding.
Yeah, Supreme Master of the Order went up from +1 to +2. So whenever you read a spell, just drop that number by 2 because it's Croak.
You're probably going to drop it by more too because there's going to be some benefit.
Of course.
He casts 4, unbinds 4, can unbind anywhere on the board. He can still cast through his skinks.
Yeah, through the priests.
Yeah, the wizard or the oracle.
Yep.
Ridiculous.
Supreme Gift from the Heavens. Uses command ability in your hero phase. If you do so, pick D3 friendly Seraphon units wholly within 18 inches of a friendly model with this ability. Until your next hero units, those units can fly and add 1 to save rolls for attacks made with missiles weapons that target that unit. You can only use the command ability once per hero phase. So you only get D3 friendly units. Aw. So he's still bonkers, but Croak. He is still going to either, every phase, he's either going to heal completely or die. He is inexpensive, and he is basically showing others how to do magic. I'm just like, wow. With the new rules for Arcane Bolt, it's kind of interesting. I mean, they spoiled the Arcane Bolt. Mm-hmm. Arcane Bolt is kind of neat now in that you cast it, and you basically have it in your hip pocket. And then whenever you want to do that mortal wound, you do it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that gives you a lot of flexibility. If, oh, crap, I left him on 1 wound. Arcane Bolt. So, Croak is bonkers.
Yeah.
And his points what did his points go to?
It's like 3 something to 480 or 430.
Yeah, 430. So he is on the level of other gods. He's still going to do all that chip damage all through the table. He's going to be putting D3 mortal wounds everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And he's pointed, and I grant you, there's going to be that game where he takes 2 arrows and you roll 666 and he's off the table. It's going to happen. It's a 1 in 216 chance. There's other games where he's going to go through the whole freaking game without taking a wound and have just dominated the battlefield. Oh,
Yep.
He can't go on a Bellwind Vortex.
Oh, no.
No.
Oh, no. But he got an innate +1 to
But yeah, he's basically bringing his own. If you look at that model, he's on his own Bellwind Vortex. So yeah, Croak is freaking bonkers.
Oh, man. Seraphon just don't stop getting the good stuff.
And
430
honestly,
points. He's still like, maybe 150 points under costed at this point.
to me, that instant death is really if you do 10 wounds or if you do 8 wounds to him, chances are he's going to roll off the board. Because what's the average? 2d6 average is 7, so 3d6 average would be 9 or 10?
10.
Yeah. So basically, yeah, if you do 10-ish wounds to him, you can have a pretty good assurance that he's going to go away.
In a single phase, though,
Yes.
when he has Saurus Guard.
Okay. All right. Look, I'm trying to make it, trying to justify it here. Help me out
I get
here.
it. There is a random chance, right? There is a chance. Well, you're telling me there's a chance? Yes, I'm telling you there's a chance. But generally speaking, you have to do a lot to him. And that command ability he has, where he gives +1 to save and fly, he can do it to himself.
Oh, look at that. Who
Right.
ever thought of doing that?
I know. He's over here on,
So he's on a
3-up.
3-up save most of the time? And he's got units to slough wounds off too? Okay. I'm getting my Seraphon out today. He is, as far as the lore goes, Marathi has been the big winner.
Mm-hmm.
As far as models go, I don't know anybody. Now, Bellicor got a pretty big boost, but I don't know anybody that's going to have the impact of the game that Croak is going to have.
Marathi.
You think Marathi on the table?
Well, I mean, because Marathi's update now is that she deploys both models, right?
That's true. She is very, very hot.
And can only take the 3 wounds. I mean, that's ridiculous, right? So
Yeah, that's a good point.
Croak and Marathi,
Are the big winners.
the big winners. If you're going to do sum total of what the narrative showed as well as what the War Scroll does and all that, I think Marathi takes it.
Yeah.
Best character development, most consistent character. She's just slick. Like
Yeah.
she's such a distinct character. She's in her own.
Yes.
And she's next to Alariel, I think the only other female god.
Yeah. I think
And
so.
she made herself a god. It
Yeah.
wasn't just like happens to be the,
She's a self-made woman.
exactly. She takes what she wants.
And doesn't ask or say, please.
Model wise,
Oh,
Croak.
over the top.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the models for Marathi are brilliant. But, yeah, throughout this entire series, I think, of course, the big winner was AOS.
Mm-hmm.
The biggest winner would have to be, like you said, Daughters of Cain, followed closely by Seraphon, followed by Cities of Sigmar, which got so many new options, which is really good because there's so many models in that range. I think now everybody has a chance to play with their toys in a meaningful way that they had sitting around from before.
Mm-hmm.
Biggest loser has to be Sigmar.
Yeah.
Not Stormcast, because, I mean, they got some very serious good buffs to make them a thing again. And, of course, they're getting a whole new box. Overall, lore-wise, Sigmar's the big loser.
Yeah.
He basically was written out of these stories. He showed up at the very end, or he didn't. He chose to not show up like the clown-shoed, two-faced freak that he is.
Yep.
Why couldn't we have called this Age of Marathi or something? Should have called it, I don't know, Age of somebody that mattered. Age of Gardath. No, I'm sorry. But overall, I mean, these books have just been, well, I mean, think about it. We did 4 3-hour shows. This one's looking to go that far on just dissecting these books, and we glossed over them. We summarized the lore incredibly.
Yep.
And then just hit high points of the rules changes.
Yeah.
You go over to 2+ Tough. If you really want to see this stuff broken down, go to Doug's videos on the lore of these things, and he goes in detail about all of it. If you don't feel like reading it, it's a great way to just start painting and listening to all the amazing stories.
Yep.
Overall, this whole series has to be a huge win for AOS.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm so sad that it came out during COVID. That, because you have to know that they probably wanted a release sequence that let these books sink in a little, so that people could get used to playing this way before, the new AOS drops.
Yeah.
It's just sad that it had to be this way. But gosh dang it, they did good.
Yes, they did. They did. It was really fun going through and breaking all these down, seeing the changes, the shifts, the move from the Necroquake, which, was just so by the time we got to the end, just sort of like, okay, can we move on now? And they're like, yeah, we'll move on. We're going to go the other way.
Yeah. It's funny. I think back to Malign Portents.
Yeah.
And the hype that surrounded that. And this was pre-COVID. And yet, I always felt like Malign Portents was something that just fell flat on its face.
Yep.
Even though it was hugely supported and hugely run out there, I didn't really see that it had an impact. on the game, overall, you can kind of say that it's what led to Forbidden Power and endless spells and all that stuff. But honestly, it got kind of written out. I don't see anybody playing with those prophecy cards and all that stuff. I've never seen a game built around that stuff. That was a flop. And I think the idea was to sort of shift now. If we're going to do something on that scale, do it like this.
Yeah.
Do it where you make broad changes, you move the lore. And I'll tell you what, in this, 4, 5, 6 month period, the lore has moved more than it has in the entire history of Age of Sigmar.
Mm-hmm.
And it's great because we can sit there and argue about, is that white-haired dwarf Grungni or Grombrandal, or, is Marathi this? Is this going to happen? Is Gardas a clown shoe? Well, no argument there. But and honestly, it does. And I know I bag on Sigmar a lot because he sets himself up as a pincushion. At some point he's going to come back into the story in a really big way and say, I am going to be impactful now.
Yeah.
And, who knows, maybe even gets a model.
God, that'd be kind of cool.
Wouldn't it, though?
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be like, I'm tired of having these primes running around with my hammer. They're not using it right. They pretty much die to a stiff wind. Watch how a real dude does it. Yeah. I would love to see that 1,000-point model. Oh, geez.
Yeah, something where he auto loses to Archeon, though.
Ouch. Yeah, he either auto loses to Archeon, or if you're playing against Nagash, the Nagash player gets to move Sigmar.
Right.
You get to fight with him, but Nagash gets to move him. Oh, that's so wrong. I'm going to go to GW hell for this. And we wonder why we don't get nice things from GW.
Exactly, right.
Yeah, it's because we say things like that.
Yeah, man. I think we've run pretty long here, so probably touch on AOS 3.0 at the next show.
Yeah.
Because that'll be the week before launch.
Yep.
Right? And so we'll probably have
We'll know a heck of a lot more by then. So, let's sign off because, this one segment is 2 hours. So, yeah.
Well, folks, don't forget to check us out on social media. We are on Discord. Again, if you're on Instagram, just DM us about it. We'll get you the link, or you can go to our Facebook page and find the Rolling Bad podcast, and our link is there as well. Don't forget to go check out the charity. It's a GoFundMe charity for St. Jude's. That is, to help with cancer research for children. And again, $5 gets you an entry for Curse City. It's only been up for a week. We're going to keep this open for a while. We'll probably announce our end date at the next show. So get on there. It's for a good cause. If you're a Patreon, you're already entered. And of course,
but feel free to enter more.
Yeah.
So you'll get more tickets.
Exactly. Well, it's been fun, folks. We finally finished the Broken Realms, and it's time to get ready for the new edition.
Yep. You are correct.
If you would like to get in touch with us, you can reach us at our Facebook page at www.facebook.com/rollingbadpodcast, all one word. Our Patreon page is at www.patreon.com/rollingbadpodcast, again, all one word. The Twitter account for the show is at rolling_bad. And our individual Twitters are, for me, at Bill Castello, BILLCASTELLO.
And you can reach me, Joshua Alt, on Twitter at Anoyoe. That's at ANOYOE. On Instagram, I can be found at Heretic Model. On Facebook, I can be found as Joshua Alt.
All of our guests on the show will have their contact information in that show's show notes. The music in the show is used courtesy of Kevin MacLeod at Incompetech.com and used under the Creative Commons license. The Rolling Bad podcast is protected under the Creative Commons Attribution 4.0 International License. Information for this license can be found at creativecommons.org.